ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for coming today, by the way. We actually had about 88 people registered, but you know, Gyeongdeok is not the easiest place to visit, and PronT원 is mostly not the easiest one to access. So probably it might be the elevator issues and also the QR code issues. So don't worry, there will be much more interesting people to come. So if you're at the back row, please fill in the front row, get to interact. We'll shortly start with our chairman of Cross-Border Ecosystem Builders Forum, Mr. Derek Kim, for an opening speech. Please welcome him with a big applause, everyone. Thank you.
Good afternoon. As Rizzo told, it's not easy to assess. It's a PronT원, actually. And anyway, today is a very nice weather. And then welcome to this forum. I believe all of you are the Cross-Border Ecosystem Builders Forum. Actually, when we make this forum, we have thought a lot of names. How to present is our goal or is our mission. So we have discussed a lot. Then we found in Korea we are using many times the global ecosystem forum or the global ecosystem builders or the global. Anyway, a lot of the global world is used in some of the organization or forum names, but still not global. Am I right? Yeah, you agree, right? Still not global. Yeah. So global is too far. Honestly speaking, global is too far from the Korea. So we have tried to find the better name is to understand each other's, or also to make some easier way. So we selected cross-border. Actually, cross-border is the cross border between the countries. So we made a cross-border ecosystem, and then it's the builders. So I think all of you are the ecosystem builders. So I hope today is a very historical day. I think we launched it. It's the Cross-Border Ecosystem Builders Forum officially. Also, today's forum is official first event, even though we did some small event before. Then we're gonna build and we're gonna make some cross-border ecosystem builders forums in long-term base in Korea together. So after some years, maybe we will find out. Nowadays, the Korea ecosystem is almost near to global stage. Then we're gonna cheers together. So I hope all of you to enjoy today's forum, and then continue together. Thank you.
Thank you, Derek. So, as many of you may know me or may not know me, but I'm very, very passionate about South Korean startup ecosystem. Some may consider it as an anger, some may consider it as a passion. And I've been working so hard on this. To be honest, I think my entire career for the last 5 years was for today. And I'm so happy to launch this event today at this moment. And now also my very passionate partner for establishing South Korean startup ecosystem in a much more healthier way, Shane Kong, will be introducing the purpose and the direction of Cross-Border Ecosystem Builders Forum. Please welcome Shane to the stage. Thank you.
Thank you, Rizzo. Hello, everyone. Nice to meet you. I'm Sung-hyun. I'm from Korea Accelerator Association. I'm also director of Startup Grind. So it's not. I'm not that much experienced about teaching English, especially in front of people. So it's very nervous and quite. How can I say? It's a very difficult time for me. But I want to say that what the meaning of cross-border ecosystem builders forum. So, previously the chairman briefly spoke about the meaning of this forum. I will explain more about the forum, background, purpose, and operation directions a little more detailed. This is the first slide. I want to say that it's a very long time to endure the corona pandemic seasons. For the first 3 years, the world has had to suffer from pandemic. Many things had to change or forgotten during these 3 years of not being able to come and go. The border was blocked and various transportation was cut off. During the isolation period, we sometimes blame each other for misunderstanding between countries. However, during the period when everyone was suffering from pandemic, the startup environment in each country was changing rapidly. Many unicorns were born, and huge investments were made in medical bio and platform businesses. We couldn't interact and communicate in person at the time, but we've been holding out, missing those days. And during that time, we realized the previous value of global exchange and communications. Now, the pandemic has stopped inter-country traffic. We have been eagerly aware of the importance of global economic exchanges and have been waiting for the door to reopen. Now the pandemic is going through and we are looking at what it was before, where we can interact and come and go. As if it had been so long, we are quickly returning to the pre-pandemic world by taking off our masks and holding events where many people gather. Experts are still warning of the various risks, but now we come off normalizing so rapidly and no longer return to the day of the pandemic. Global exchanges are also running back to the pre-pandemic days with all doors open. But however, the situation is getting worse after the pandemic. As you know, Ukraine-Russian war and inflation and self-centric nationalism and climate issues, growing relations and political conflict between big states. We expected that everything would be normalized and world would be more united than ever, but the situation is getting tough due to unexpected issues. Startup has having a practically tough season. During pandemic, the funds, especially liquidity funds, released to revitalize the market, are making the economy difficult with inflation and rising oil prices. Startup funding is also getting harder. Bio and platform businesses, which have been in the spotlight at the time, are in charge of crisis of not attracting additional funds. And a startup environment is being created that much survival by making sales even if it is small. The entry of startup into the global market is not an option, but a challenge that must be done. During the pandemic, many things have been tried that can be done without having to meet in person. At the same time, we understand that the challenge of starting a global startup is not such a difficult barrier. I think it's time for our startup to think about challenges in small market, even in small market, with opportunities and possibilities, not in large market. So that's why Liso and I struggling about these things to discuss how to make the better world for startups and for accelerators. So that's the beginning of this forum. Startup ecosystem should have no borders. In the isolated economy of pandemic, startups that were valued by investors, corporate value, not the market, have now come to a time of change that must be evaluated as the technology and business in the market, not the investors. So I believe that the economic exchange of startups should not be disturbed by political, social, or environment issues. Startups should communicate and interact with each other without borders. Startups should learn and make challenges wherever they have business opportunities everywhere. To solve this problem, the Korea Accelerator Association and a Foreign Entrepreneur Club held a forum together. The association, my association, is a non-profit company, corporations, in which a government-approved accelerator participates as a member. Accelerator is a business maker to invest and to incubate very early startups. And the rapid growth of the invested companies is the success of their business. So that's why Accelerator needs to help entrepreneurs go global and go cross borders. As you know, startup ecosystem is a mix of various stakeholders. There are not only entrepreneurs and investors, but also public and university and research institutes, and also financial as well. Everyone in ecosystem is a builder who create a startup ecosystem. We wanted to create a forum where all these startup ecosystem builders gather together to discuss, find opportunities and challenges. Korea is a very small country, as you know, and we are only one language in Korean. Fortunately, during the pandemic, K-culture is in the spotlight abroad and is recognized as a unique country. Many young people around the world are interested in K-pop and K-culture, and sometimes they are enthusiastic. We are facing a good opportunity. There is an atmosphere in which Korean startups enter overseas, and overseas startups want to enter Korea. The current atmosphere has provided an opportunity for Korea, even a small peninsular country, to be reborn as a global startup nation. However, small market and linguistic barriers make it difficult to create competitive startups in the world. The world is wide, and there are many opportunities. Not just a big market that communicates in English. That is not important. Country with numerous possibilities and opportunities for our startups to challenge have a startup ecosystem where there are opportunities and possibilities. It doesn't mean the size of market. Barriers of race or language, it doesn't matter. Where the market and the customer are is where the startup. Korea has very unique startup policies and regulations. Under the leadership of government, excellent entrepreneurs are systemically supported and growing. In particularly, overseas startups have recently been considering starting in business in Korea due to the well-established startup policy. However, the reality is that in-and-out startups are not actively engaged in business due to various issues, as you know, such as monolingual administrations and conservative immigration policies and unrealistic visa issues. So all those issues we have to discuss. Korea is facing a population cliff and local extinction and long-term low economic growth. It seems clear that attracting global entrepreneurs to start business in Korea is a desirable alternative way to solve these problems. It's time to be clearly aware of the current situation and try more alternatively. So we started the Cross-Border Ecosystem Builders Forum. Together with entrepreneur accelerators, we challenge the unknown startup ecosystem. We will explore and tap on the little-known startup ecosystems, the countries, not the market that everyone knows well. We don't care about borders. We don't care at all the time, we will create opportunities for exchange and cooperation among entrepreneurs who can learn as much as we want, starting with Estonia, Colombia, Azerbaijan, Ecuador, etc. We plan to invite various countries that have a startup ecosystem to talk in depth about their startup environment, startup policies, and business opportunities. And we have discussion sessions, Korea's global startup support environment, regulations, and policies. We will have a forum to discuss various problems of global startup support and find realistic alternatives with foreign startups who establish in Korea and Korea startups who want to go global. Based on this discussion, we would like to continue to propose those issues to government, regulatory improvements and policy changes. We will actively insist on creating infrastructure and visa policies for many overseas entrepreneurs to freely do business and success in Korea startup ecosystem. And last session, we are going to introduce the accelerator, who is the top tier, who are very big size fund house, who has very big size fund house. In particularly, we would like to invite domestic and foreign accelerators who are active, plan to go global programs to talk about what startup they prepare, or how they can help them, or how much invest to them. So those issues we may handle during this forum, and the forum would be often regularly. We've been waiting a long time to become a global economy that starts again with the pandemic. It is time for more active global exchanges after the pandemic. Korea's startup ecosystem has an opportunity to make a difference. We must continue to produce startups that change the future through communications, cooperations, and get together to challenges. Through this forum, we look forward to the active activities of cross-border builders all over you. I hope you will actively communicate with the builders and get some benefits, networks from here. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Shane. Thank you very much. So apparently, we were supposed to have our Estonian ambassador at our first session, and like many representatives, maybe he has been a bit occupied, so slightly coming in late. So with a mercy, I would like to tell a bit story of our Foreign Entrepreneurs Club as well. For Foreign Entrepreneurs Club, we're just exceeded 500th member, and we are looking forward to developing a much more interesting ecosystem for foreign entrepreneurs. In Korea, foreign entrepreneurs and foreigners are not typically that easy to survive. Even today morning, I had a couple of calls from Foreign Entrepreneurs Club members that some had a legal issue, some had a regulatory issues, and some are very serious, some are lightweighted. But through this event and forum, I really look forward to solve those issues and gather our voices as one. And yeah, so I think as we don't have our Estonian embassy at the moment yet, maybe we could start off from doing a bit of an open mic session. Bit of an open mic session for everyone until we have some time for Estonian ambassador who would like to come out and introduce themselves to the public. I usually do this very often in the Start to Grind events. So anyone raise your hands to introduce yourself? Jerome, maybe? Alex, would you? Please welcome Alex to the stage.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I thought, because anyways, we're going to talk in a second session, why not just introduce myself now? So yeah, my name is Alex, and I've been here in Korea since 2015 for quite a while. And a lot of things have changed in the time here since then. I started going into all these programs that were earlier listed here that the Korean government made for foreigners, and yeah, they developed a lot in the meantime. So the first one I joined in 2015 was the Seoul Global Startup Center. Maybe you've heard of that one. They closed by now, but it was the first one that was that opened up for foreigners here. And yeah, after joining that one, I also was for a quick time in KSGC and into Korea. There were also 2 programs launched by NIPA in Pangyo. But unfortunately, the startup that I was in that programs with failed. But I learned a lot on the way, and afterwards directly started my second company in 2016, which was a marketing agency, and we really focused mostly on PR for Korean companies that wanted to do marketing overseas, and that went much better. We ended up in 2018 to secure an exclusive partnership with the Olympics and sold over 500,000 tickets for them. So that was great, and I had the opportunity afterwards in the same year to sell my shares to my co-founder, so I did that. And moved on in 2019 to help a South Korean VC fund open a branch in Berlin. So I moved to Berlin and we opened a branch there. We also invested in European startups, so I did that for a while. But then the pandemic hit and a lot of things changed in that year. I saw the opportunity in the logistics space and also the K-wave becoming bigger and bigger during that time. Why don't I kind of listen to a lot of startups that I work with in the logistics space that were, oh, actually it's booming, and people see the opportunity of optimizing a lot in that space. So I was like, okay, sure, why not? Let me try to talk to a few Korean shops in Germany, and I found out, oh, actually a lot of them have that issue that they cannot import things from Korea, and talked to also a few in the US. And realized that this is a serious issue. So I moved back to Korea, opened a warehouse in Busan, and we started optimizing container shipping because there was a lot of problems with exporting Korean items from Korea because of the congestions overseas. And yeah, that went really well. We grew from 2 members to over 20 in a year. That company is still operating right now. I'm not operational anymore in the business. I exited that company last year, and afterwards took a few developers out from that team, and I'm now running a venture studio. So venture studio, maybe some of you have heard of that concept. We incubate startups at a very early stage and help them hands-on to develop their product. So, for example, you have an industry player that really knows their industry, but they just don't really know how to build a product around that. Then we partner up, and I also invest a little bit of money, and then we grow the company together. So yeah, that's what I currently do. I also work with the great guys here from Founder Institute, helping them set up things here in Korea and get started, and it's going really well right now. So yeah, we'll probably start our first cohort end of the year. That's the plan currently, and currently still here with KISET, which is a government program. So yeah, that's a little bit something about myself. Thanks for having me, and great to talk to you later. Yeah.
Oh, thank you, Alex. Well, a few years back, I used to work with Korean celebrity, and celebrity artists and musicians, the common thing is they're always improvising, even at the projects or even at the events. So things comes up when you can't see it. And this is exactly the moment that I have never seen it coming. And thank you, Alex, for killing so many times for us. All right. Who else wants to volunteer to help me out to kill some times? Ah, Jerome, thank you. Please welcome our Canadian entrepreneur.
How long do I have? Hi, I guess I'll tell you. So my name is Jerome Yip. I'm Canadian. I actually came here in February on vacation with my wife and 2 kids. We came here to visit our family in Changwon, and we found out that my wife had cancer. So she's okay. She's okay. She had surgery very quickly. The healthcare system is amazing here. I am so grateful for it. But we couldn't see ourselves going back to Canada, where they missed her cancer at least twice. So we decided to stay. The recovery is so important for 5 years. She needs to rest. And I work online. I've been working online for myself for the last 12, 15 years. So it wasn't a big change for me. So I run a business where I build apps, online stores, e-commerce, and games, and I commercialize them either for myself or for a few clients with a lot of advertising. So every month, I personally manage between 1.5 to 2 million US dollars in advertising, split between Google, Facebook, and TikTok mainly. What's really exciting me today is that a month ago, I decided that I was going to release my game in Korea. So I've been working for the last, months, 80-hour weeks, really focused on getting this up, building a team, and we're going to run some alpha testing, closed alpha testing in Korea. We're going to turn them into gaming events, tournaments where players, testers are going to win prizes. We're going to hold several of these. And in between, we're going to analyze all the feedback we're going to have acquired through these closed tournaments to improve the game, tweak it, make it really fun. And we don't really care about making money on this project. It's a passion project. It's something that me and my two co-founders really wanted to do. And the reason we wanted to do this is because we come from PC and console gaming. We've worked in gaming for a very long time. They've worked in it for much longer than me on the development side and on the character/art side. And we just love to play games competitively. But on mobile, there's no option for that. You can't invest your time and to improve your skill and then test it against someone, because all the options out there are pay to win, or the outcome of a match is usually 80% luck. So we have a very strong demo that works really well. It's called Neon Rumble, and we think it can become hopefully the first real-time PvP match 3 game on the market. So, thank you.
Thank you, Jerome. So apparently, we just checked out that our Estonian embassy is at Gangnam. Yes, lucky they didn't go to Estonia way back, but yeah. So they're at Gangnam, so we would have to improvise here. So we're going to have about 10-minute break, and we're going to come back with the roundtable session at the session 2 and bring it a bit more closer. Stay tuned, because this will be mostly about how foreign entrepreneurs survived and what they experienced in the South Korean ecosystem, and a lot of recommendations that we can give to the fellow other foreign entrepreneurs. All right, so currently it's 2:33, so we're going to have a 10-minute break till 2:40, and then come back to the seat. Stay tuned. Thank you.
she's dressed in black like that. And when the full moon rises to beam a dreamy glow, she goes to sleep so she can sneak and prowl and creep tomorrow. Black cat lurking in the forest, barely making a sound. Black cat prowling in the forest, waiting for a moment to pounce. Black cat lurking in the forest, barely making a sound. Black cat prowling in the forest, waiting for a moment to pounce. She crawls by the spiders, hides from the bats. The coyote won't find her 'cause she's dressed in black like that. And when the full moon rises to beam a dreamy glow, she goes to sleep so she can sneak and prowl and creep tomorrow. Black cat, black cat, black cat.
I think I'm in love. I never thought it could happen to me. Like an angel in flight, she came into my life. So suddenly.
Thank you. Thank you. Please be seated. Now our 10-minute break is over. Please be seated. Please be seated. All right. All right. So at personal meetings, I used to make a lot of comments or advice about South Korean startup ecosystem to foreign entrepreneurs so many times, but this would be practically the first time to talk about South Korean startup ecosystem, like point on with foreign entrepreneurs publicly as a roundtable. So I'm super excited to introduce our speakers. Fellow speakers, please come up to the stage. So all three of speakers has a very, very unique backgrounds, as you can figure. So first, Alex, although you did the open mic, please give us a very brief introduction of yourself.
Yes. I will just briefly summarize again. So exited my second business last year, background in venture capital, and currently running a venture studio. So I also invest a little bit and work hands-on with startups together to grow them. And I also work together with the Founders Institute, which is a pre-seed accelerator, I think the largest from Silicon Valley, and help them to enter here in Korea. Yes.
A lot of hats. Thank you. Thank you. And Albert, please.
Hi everyone, I'm Albert, originally from Uzbekistan. Been in Korea more than a decade. Spent this entire time working in startup ecosystem in one way or another. I was in a startup in Korea. I was in an international startup. I was working in a Korean government for a couple of years in accelerator, in venture capital, and in a trade business as well. So I've been able to see the ecosystem from many different angles. So I hope we can all have a great session today. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Hussein.
Yes, what was the question?
Please introduce us yourself.
So my name is Hussein. I'm originally from Egypt. I have like a long story before Korea, but again, it's like the same story of every foreigner. Came here to Korea, not planning to stay, and then end up here. So don't get bored of our stories. And basically, I came with a program, K-Startup Grand Challenge as well. And pretty much my story looks similar to Alex, so I don't want to bore you with that. It's like I came with one startup, this startup didn't work out, but it's not the startup to make money, but to learn from. And I just moved forward. I opened my own company, which is called Arabco, focusing on marketing and PR. And then I found another startup, which is called like beauty.com, focusing briefly on selling cosmetics, Korean cosmetics in the Middle East. But this is not the purpose because everybody sells cosmetics from Korea. We are focusing more on women helping women, as like basically one woman buy cosmetics, helping other women from the Middle East who's like suffering from breast cancer or like a war victim or domestic violence to also get their beauty back. And that's the purpose of beauty.com. And I hope we have like a very good session today.
Wonderful project. It was Hussein, everyone. All right, so common thing about our three speakers are that all of them spent so many times in Korea and all went through KSGC as a startup or either as an accelerator. So there will be so many things to say, but let's start off from what are the biggest merits and the attraction of South Korean startup ecosystem as a foreigner? Maybe starting from Alex or Albert, whoever wants to raise your hand.
Okay. So for the good things and the things that attract foreigners into Korea, first of all, it's a very attractive program in terms of the compensation and also the network that you get introduced to during the time. I think especially for KSGC, you also can network with great other startups that are in the similar fields because it's just so many. There's like 60, I think, in each batch. So yeah, I think that's one thing, and then obviously the prize money, which is also pretty big. So I think in terms of the money and the compensation of the program, it for sure attracts a lot of foreigners to apply.
All right. Maybe Albert might have something to say about that too, eh?
Right. I'll give a bit more detailed answer. From a startup point of view, when you consider certain locations to come, Korea often comes to mind. There are certain advantages here. So one example that was mentioned earlier is the K-SARP Grand Challenge program. So you come to Korea, it's kind of covered. There are a lot of benefits. Your expenses are paid. You spend time in Korea. You are also working with Accelerator here in Korea. And some of the examples, like when I was in Big Bang Angels, we did this. And 2 days later, we have a CNT Tech. They are also doing the program this year. And this accelerator brings you in, tries to connect you with the key companies here for POC projects, maybe even potentially investment. Find a distributor, right? So you come here, you stay here, you find business, right? This is the target. For certain industries, it is more, let's say, beneficial than others. So K-pop, as was mentioned earlier, is pretty big in Korea now. So if you are in the entertainment, this is a really good place to be. And another one is the internet. So your internet penetration in Korea is really high. So if you have a certain product that requires the testing through that, it's also a very interesting market to try. Also, even when I was in the Big Bang Angels, we used to even invest into some of the companies that participated in the program as well. So this is another route, right? If you want to find more investors for your business, so this is also another interesting thing to discover in Korea. In addition, so KSGC is probably like the flagship program, right? It's the biggest one, 60 companies every year. But there are also many other different projects. And generally, as a startup in Korea, Korean government does invest a lot in the ecosystem, right? So there are a lot of programs startups can benefit from. So if you open K-SARP website, probably more than 150 different projects going on at the same time that are targeting startups and providing support for them in one way or another, for which you can just apply and hopefully receive that support as well, right? So those are the general advantages that I noticed.
Okay. How about you, Hussein?
So from my like personal experience, I would just say that one of the most attraction was like the speed of everything. Because if you compare Korea to other countries, it's like it's really ahead of the speed. So what kind of speed we talk about is like to register your own company as a foreigner, start and like do everything in just like a couple of days. That's also like some countries takes like a month to register and open one company. So that's one of the thing. And the second thing is like from my personal experience as well in K-Startup Grand Challenge, I went through like they're not focusing only on the business or the startup and everything. They also like try to help you to understand the culture, the business culture and everything, which is like also like for a foreigner who just moved in here, you don't go and ask around like what is going on and how can I do that? And but then you learn this stuff like through some mentors in K-Startup Grand Challenge. So that's also one of the things. And one of the last attractions that I can also like recognize right now is like maybe back then, because like 2018 was like a little bit early stage, so people were like more excited to have foreigners in K-Startup Grand Challenge, which is like based on foreigner, but everybody was like trying to help. Like I remember like the time someone come with us to go to the immigration, follow up with all the documents, and he want to make sure that all your papers and documents is right. They just fix everything. And then after K-Startup Grand Challenge, and then you go to the immigration by yourself and you're like, dang, like I need I need to go back to K-Startup. So yes, that is like the things. Like there is some people take care of you from day one to finish the program. It's like kind of like you take your baby steps and then like, okay, now you're adult. Take care of yourself in Korea. Yeah, that's it.
All right, all right. So, by the way, although it's a round table, as there are so many foreign entrepreneurs in our audience, so if you have any questions, just feel free to raise your hand. I'll try to listen it and share it to our speakers. Okay, so that will be the biggest attraction. Then, in your experience, like if you look around and look back, many of your friends who came in together has left South Korean startup ecosystem as well. What would be the key reasons or the trigger points that made them leave Korea?
So yeah, I can start with that. So I will first of all be very careful, and it's not my own experience, but I've heard that a lot from other startups. I think one thing that repetitively came to me was that eventually the experience of the accelerators that try to help them locally wasn't the most best. So maybe some of them haven't had enough experience. I mean, the accelerators themselves, which also led to them working with other mentors and maybe investment firms that aren't, that well established yet in the ecosystem, which led to a lot of foreigners being scared away because they haven't had the best experience, to put it careful. So yeah, I think a few of the accelerators being the issue why some foreigners left afterwards, because they just didn't have a great experience staying here.
Okay, all right. How about you, Albert?
Right. I would say over time, there have been a lot of changes as well. So for example, back in 2012, right? It was not easy to stay as a foreigner in Korea, the visa issues. It's still challenging, but it is much better now. So there is so-called Startup Oasis visa that is available. That was not around back in the day. So foreign entrepreneurs actually have a chance to try out their idea and their project with this. So that's one of the reasons.
Okay.
So allow me to take like a little bit longer in this one.
Yeah, go ahead.
So in the Middle East, because we speak Arabic, so the way we describe the accelerator or incubator, we just call it like the real translation for it. It's like business cuddling, okay? Which is like basically, it sounds like more like someone is like holding around your business. And I'm not talking about a specific program, but if you think most of the programs that targeting foreigners to come here to South Korea, they are not architected in a way to let the foreigners to come and to stay longer. Most of them is like focusing on bringing the foreign entrepreneurs to Korea just to introduce Korea and the business. But it's not architect enough to let them continue in the... So you will only find the outstanding people somehow, like the two gentlemen here, is like they decided like, okay, we're going to get out of this architect, because in my batch, like 2018, I'm the only one left. So out of 80. So if you think about it, it's I can believe it's not about them more than the architect of the program itself. And that's one of the things we also have been trying to talk about it like many times with NIPA, that there was some investment to really happen on people to come here, right? There's a lot of money has been spent on people to come here. And especially like if we talk about 80, then 40 of them after 3 months and a half, like they will not continue. So it's really shame to let those people to leave because you really spend a lot of money on them. So the most important is like to redesign the whole programming in order to attract more people, not just to come and visit here and leave, but more to continue the business. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Then, so I do see and recognize a lot of changes that's happening in our ecosystem. Really trying to adapt and listen into these kind of issue pointed. If you had a superpower to fix a one part, right? There's visa, there is funding. Like getting funded as a foreign entrepreneur in Korea after the KSGC program is a different story, right? And getting into government programs as a foreigner in Korea, other than KSGC or GSC, which is already gone, is also totally different story. But if you had a superpower, right, which point would you change? Would it be regulatory, visa, fund, culture, language barriers, etc.?
So for me personally, this is also kind of adding up onto what you said earlier. I think especially in the very, very early years, what I realized for myself was that if I would stay in the foreign ecosystem or in the foreign network, I wouldn't really get anywhere. And that's also where I decided in 2016, I have to really work closely together with Koreans. I cannot make it happen at all if I'm just alone here. So this led me to work closely with Koreans afterwards. And I think even today, it's still a little bit similar to that. So if you're here alone as a foreigner, it's going to be very, very, very hard. So for me, the superpower would be really getting this outstanding, great network, even that I can build as a foreigner. And I think this is exactly where your group comes into place, because we're 500 people of really, let's say, high educated people in the ecosystem that just know their way around. So yeah, I think it would be really strengthening this network of foreigners here in Korea.
Okay, Albert, any ideas?
That's a very interesting question. I would say, yes, visa is important, but at the end of the day, it's not everything. If there is something I would fix, I would say culture, definitely. And culture can come in many ways. The way I would address it is product market fit. So a lot of the times, let's say you have a certain product. That applies not only for international companies coming to Korea, but Korean companies trying to expand overseas as well. So you have a certain product, right? So you tested it out, you made the product, you have certain results in your own local market, right? And you feel like, okay, now it's time to try it out in another location, in another country. So we have all those international companies coming into Korea to test this, and it's not easy, right? They don't know what is the business standard here. They don't know what is the culture here. Something that works in Western culture might not work in Asian culture, right? And they are not really fully aware of this. So they're learning a lot of it on the go, and that really hurdles their results. So I would say if there is a way to improve this, that would be something with the good result.
Okay, Hussein?
Oh, wow. Superpower. I mean, I'm not adding much to what they said because that would be like enough, you know, if they change both of them, this stuff, it's going to be enough. But if I can just add anything, I would say, I mean, Koreans actually, one of the good things that they have, they feel like so responsible for everything. And this kind of responsibility, it takes them to think and calculate every single step before they take. And that leads to sometimes to lack of speed, or also kind of they don't take so much risk. But if we talk about entrepreneurship and startups and venture capitals, it's all about taking risk. And in the business world, Korea has been well known overseas to be like one of the low risk taker profiles. So if I would change anything, I would give so much power to some decision maker to take some risks, and
Okay.
then just
Right.
yeah, that's gonna help a lot.
Right. So now I'm gonna jump into a bit more of the struggles and the pain points of the ecosystem, and there would be many, but I'll start off from this. I've seen so many foreign founders struggling with employing Koreans, and as a foreign students, also they struggle to employ foreigners. So my first question on this would be: would you rather employ Korean who has perfect English, or rather employee foreigner who has perfect Korean? I'll just start from the small questions.
Okay, so for me, I've dealt with both. I think the Korean with perfect English is powerful here in Korea because he'll be perceived as a local. So if that person now has actual experience overseas and has lived a little bit overseas, that's very, very, very valuable. So yeah, for me, it's the first.
Okay, can you hire me? Huh? Messing with you, Albert.
Okay, so I would say the correct answer would be, in my opinion, anyone. And that is one of the reasons why we have cross-border
Okay.
forum, right? So ideally, you should be able to work with everyone. So I would say as long as job is done
Yeah.
and we are a good fit, that is something I would consider more.
Uh-huh.
And I worked with both.
Uh-huh.
And like I said, it's possible to work with both as well. And that actually requires your company, the culture of your company, to be welcoming for everyone.
Okay.
And especially if you are interested in a more of a global business development, in one way or another, you need to be able to work with both. Let's say certain positions, there will be advantages for one or the other. But again, in the ideal situation, as long as you can do what you need to do, either way is fine, in my opinion.
Maybe I can add something on top of here. So for me personally, it was the experience that I was able to close a deal with a Korean older person when there was a local Korean on board, on the table. I don't know if you have experience with that. Having foreigners only talking to Koreans, it was really hard for me to try to get to some serious point with them.
If you want to get traction locally, it will be advantageous for sure. Just being a foreigner, I would say if you cannot communicate, there is a limitation. If you can communicate and they understand your point of view, it is less disadvantageous. And if you have communication issues, yes, having Rizzo here next to you is going to help for sure.
Agree.
Hussein, anything to add on that?
Yeah, really quickly. It's just like all depends. Like, yes, of course, I can hire some Koreans who only speaks Korean if I really need something in Korea. But if I need someone who can also gain attraction to my company, because also when you are just saying like, hello, I'm Korean company based in Seoul, and then like our faces all like, none of us is Korean. So that also like raise some kind of like assumptions like, so you guys are really like based in Seoul. So of course, like to gain attraction, people want to see also like Korean on board. Also, as Alex mentioned here, it's like really hard to like to facilitate some deals if you don't have like a Korean team or employee on the table. So again, as I said before, it's all about like what you hire for. So that's one thing. And the second is like also like I just want to comment quickly about what Alex said. It's really case by case. Some I met some Korean and they really love to see only foreigners. And the meeting, they love it to have like only foreigners to speak in English, make everything faster. But I find it also like when the communication between Koreans, they just get back to the base of responsibilities and take everything step by step, and nobody get out of the comfort zone of like the Korean culture that takes everything like smoother. So does that make sense?
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah, okay.
It also makes sense. On extent to that, I would rather ask. So Korean labor law is not the most friendly law for the founders, and many founders sometimes struggles. Like many employers kind of finds the struggle when they want to lay out a one person, or especially as a startup, it's hard to get a good talent. Even though you want to hire them, it might be very tough to get one. On the employment, like labor laws and the employment wise, what are the hurdles and what are the advantage in the South Korean startup ecosystem?
So, in my opinion, as a foreigner, you're lost. So you need a local that really knows your way around with labor laws here. So I never really took care of that, and if there was an issue, I try to sit down with them and figure it out until their contract ends, because it was just almost impossible to get them out of the company. So yeah, that's my experience as a foreigner. So you're lost of that.
So no full-time employment.
Yeah, I try to stay away from that, and as much as possible hire overseas, someone remote if I can, because I know that they'll work with more intent. And the Korean side, yeah, unfortunately, a lot of the times they will just really look at what they have to do and just do that, not more than that. And yeah.
All right.
I can give a bit more detailed answer based on the experiences I had. If you are lucky and you are in KSGC, for example, you can get some consulting on this. There are HR companies that can help with that, which means you don't spend your own resources on that. You utilize the program. That is one. If you are less lucky, you might need to get a consultation from those companies to learn certain things. Other way, if you are not, let's say you have more limited resources, you can also talk to other founders, right? That's why we have groups like that. We have so many interesting international communities in Korea. We have Rizzo community. We have multiple other ones. Seoul Startups is an interesting community as well, depending on if you prefer Kakao or Slack, right? For example, yeah. You can ask it there, right? You can get live conversations with people that have been through this, right? The beauty is that you are not alone, right? That is one. The second one, there are also a couple interesting HR companies here I can also give a shout out to. So Gordon with RDI, very great. Always happy to chat, can add him on LinkedIn. He walks around Gangnam a lot, so you might catch him there. There's also Globalization Partners. They kind of take some of the risk on their end when they do the packages, so you can kind of work through them as well. In addition to that, after you get the consultation, you will learn what is the different types of employment in Korea, which one works for you the most. And one example is the contract, right? So if you have a limited employment period, which is a contract, then it's more safe for you as a founder. But then you also need to understand employee who will work in your company, they will be less incentivized to apply for that as well. So it works both ways. And another big challenge I had also during the KSGC back in the day, a lot of founders come in, right, from abroad. They establish a company in Korea. They want to hire a Korean, for example, right, to work here on the business. And there are challenges, right? So let's say they want a developer. Developer is a kind of a higher skilled labor, and it's not easy to find in Korea. So there's already a limited amount, right? There's a shortage. And bigger companies like Naver or Kakao, they just, right, they take them quite early. Sure. And they give huge packages. Not just salary, but so many benefits, flexible hours, vacation days, work from home. It's very difficult as a startup to compete against that. So it's very hard to secure good people in your team. That is a common struggle ongoing.
Okay. The same?
I will just continue from where he stops, because that's when you apply same rules on same scale, like not same scales company, this is like so unfair. So if we talk about like same taxes and same labor law that is applied in Samsung and LG, to apply it on like a startup that just started like a few days ago, that is so unfair. So I'm like, I consider myself like I really support women, and I'm not against anything, but think about it. You are a startup who just started, and then you hire someone, she got married and pregnant, and you have to pay for her salary for 2 years. And you are not even allowed to ask her to do any work. Completely, I support that. But when it comes to startup, if you think from the other way around, just a startup who just started and they really need someone to help, he barely can afford to hire only one person to help, and this person just didn't, like, has to stay home, with all due respect. So do you think even this startup can remain, or like, because suddenly you have to pay like a salary for 2 years? That's like one of like few examples. But if you take all these labor laws to apply it on startups, it's like really unfair. I would say, like, if I can change anything back to the superpower thing, I would just change something with taxes. Like, startups shouldn't pay taxes at least in the first year, you know, like that's kind of push from the government. They have to do it. And that's actually happening in like a lot of countries. So that's what I'm saying, is like same rules shouldn't be applied on unequal companies.
Yeah, I think that reveals a lot, which is a very tough one to address. But it seems like we have 3 suggestions: always hire in a contract, limited period, use HR solutions, and don't try to apply like same standards regulatory wise. So as we are talking about labor laws, let's move into a bit more about ecosystem, like laws in the system within our ecosystem. So when we are discussing South Korean startup ecosystem, we cannot leave out government. It's extremely government-driven ecosystem. Many things are handled by the government ecosystems. So on your pure point of view, staying in Korea for the last 10 years, does this driver of our ecosystem as a government, as the main driver, does it look positive, or would there be any parts that we should be adjusting and wiggling or add into the ecosystem?
I would say like it's really getting I'm sorry, I'm just jumping, but it's really getting positive and positive. And I mean, the reason why everyone here is like staying in these countries, like, because we can see there is something is happening. Even if maybe some people think like the change is very slow, but it is still happening. And so I just see it like it is positive. And the more fresh blood comes into the decision maker in the government, the more we will see things happening. Because if someone put labor law, they just put it from only one perspective, corporate perspective, and then they sit together around the table, they just like get the law. But if they get fresh entrepreneurs around the same table, they will just talk from a totally new perspective. The people never think about it. Here, the change will happen. But I'm not blaming them. I'm just like blaming the situation that makes some people only see one perspective of law. So I can see it's happening, and someone like you, someone like Chain, like things will definitely change. But it just takes some time and some effort from some people in the ecosystem.
Okay. Anything to add, Albert?
Sure. So, as you mentioned, government is one of the major players in the startup ecosystem. They actually even set the trends in a way. That much impact, right? These days, biotech big, everyone has to adjust, right? I would say it has improved over the years for sure, because I've seen it for a while. There are some good examples as well. There are, of course, areas for improvement, as in everything. That applies for everything, right? Everything always can be better.
Everywhere.
The good example is probably the TIPS program. Maybe, again, I did it in a couple companies. CNC Tech later, they also are one of the biggest TIPS operators in Korea. So just to tell you a bit about the TIPS, TIPS is a kind of interesting R&D program that allows to partner accelerators in the government and the startups together, right? All the key players to support the startups. So a lot of the startups, if they are in deep tech, they need resources to develop their product. They need R&D support before they can even make their product, before they can test their product, right? And fundraising is not easy. And this TIPS program is an interesting way where if an accelerator invests a small amount, $100 to $200,000 in a startup, then they can get government grant of up to $500,000 for R&D, roughly. And that is a huge advantage for a startup, right? And it's a 2-year program. So over those 2 years, they are quite safe to work on their products. And it also kind of, it's a seal of an approval as well. TIPS, it's a very competitive program. So if a startup is selected, it's much easier for them to talk to other investors for next investment rounds, right? When you go to the investor and you say, oh, I already have TIPS, they look at you in a different way than if you don't have it. So I think this is a one very good example of a program where government has a good impact on the ecosystem.
Yeah.
All right.
Fully agree with that. Something that I can add from a very early stage startup perspective, and I think a lot of the things are not even kind of visible from the outside. First of all, there are spaces that startups can work for free and go into, like the Seoul Business Hub, I think it's called, here just nearby in Gongdeok. And then also all the spaces that are provided from the government that we event holder can use for free to facilitate those networking events. They are really, I think, one of the major reasons why the ecosystem is so much thriving these days. And the trend was also set by the government. So for example, the Seoul Global Startup Center was the first place where those networking events for foreigners were facilitated at, and these grew more and more into other facilities offering free event space for organizers. So I think this is really like a big part and something that we don't see all the time, but which actually comes from the government and their support for us.
Right. Awesome. So since we have limited time frame, but I would still like to dig in a bit more deeper to the practical side of it. Administrative hassles. I mean, for KSGC, every year the inquiry that I get is that, can I hire someone who can just do the paperwork for me, right? Reportings and apply for other government programs. Just anyone who's pro at writing up those documents. Also, if you go to the bank or if you try to register your tax transactions, it has lots of administrative hassles. What are your comments on that? What are the things that might demand a bit of improvements?
Learn Korean. Yeah, learn Korean is a good one.
Learn Korean could be one thing.
So yeah, for Learn Korean, for example, the government has great programs for Koreans. For example, if you start your first company, they will provide you with free tax consultation and stuff like that. It's not available in English yet, so that would maybe be something. And then regulatory. I think it's not eventually easy to find a good Korean lawyer that also speaks English and helps you with company registration. So you need to know the people. Yeah, that's kind of what's on my mind right now. Maybe some.
Sure, I can add. Well, Learn Korean helps. For sure. It helps, definitely. We are in Korea, right? When in Rome. Lawyers, accountants, tax people, bilingual, they exist. They are very expensive, also possible. Same talent, if you want bilingual talent, very expensive. It's there, depending on your, let's say, affordability range. However, for the administrative stuff in general, again, I've seen it from most of the sides, right? So I kind of understand every side. So I can give defense for everything. So from the government point of view, right, they are using taxpayer money, right? And government has to report. That's why all this administration work exists. They have to be accountable for the budget that they use. Even on the program, right, like KSGC, that also comes from the taxpayers' money, right? And they want to know where their money goes. That's why all this administrative work exists. But that applies even for local Korean startups when they do application programs. Same. The K-Startup website I mentioned, again, 150 programs, apply any program. They are, I would say, more than 95% in Korean. Administrative work, probably even more than K-Startup Grand Challenge. So there's a selection process where you do application, interview. There's quite a lot. But that is the current standard. I'm not sure how much it's going to change. This is something probably at this point to get used to and to adjust for as much as possible.
Okay. How about you, Hussein?
So you just asked, like, do you hire? Yes, the answer is like hire someone if you don't speak Korean, if you don't know anything about the regulations and paper in Korea, hire someone, even if part-time, just to take care of all the documents. Because I tried it myself. I had some business to do with SBA, Seoul Business Agency. And usually I have been doing reports every 3 months. So it takes me like 2 months to report for the third month. And seriously, I'm not even exaggerating. It just takes the whole things out of my time just to do the reports. However, that takes like a day or two from a Korean employee to just finish everything. So yes, the answer is like if you don't know how to do these things and you're not planning to learn Korean, just hire someone and then just do it. That's number one. Number two, it's not only about the paper that you need to fill or like the regulations or like the reports you have to do. Also, if you have some employee who can do those stuff for you, they are also the ones who can find so much gems for you inside the Korean government. So there is like a lot of programs that you will never know about it. There is a lot of funds, there is a lot of budgets and programs. So there's so much things that you're gonna miss out as a foreigner if you don't know where to look up for things. So since I have my co-founder and she's Korean, joined Arabco, and I've seen so much opportunities that I never seen before. And basically because they have like the news, the trends, everything comes to them. So I would always say definitely the keyword, even if we speak Korean or know Korean or learn Korean, still some stuff is like so deep to find it. Like Korean. So yes, that is a key word.
Okay, so we have about 10 more minutes. Would there be any questions from the public? Yes, Erdinch.
A very short one. So you please highlighted some of the government support or any other support provided by any other program or anything for foreigners specifically. For foreigners.
So these programs change all the time. So it's literally on a monthly basis they change. Reso's also running a few in different locations. You really have to be up to date. So I think the first step is joining groups like Reso's to see which kind of current programs are running. And I think it's also a good thing that there are so many various programs that keep changing and keep popping up. But yeah, you need to be up to date and you need to also apply on time. It takes a lot of time to apply to these, so that's something to keep in mind. But to find them, I think joining the groups will be the best, yeah.
Yeah, if I add slightly on top of that, although I'm not obliged to. So interesting thing is I'm seeing increasing number of programs targeting foreign entrepreneurs in Korea. And currently, I'm in part of two different programs. One was at Daejeon yesterday. It was done. Another one is still ongoing in Seoul. But the problem is it's just newly started. So the maturity level of the program, their understandings on like the needs of the foreign entrepreneur is very low. So I usually suggest like give an year or two more, and until it develops enough, then it will be an efficient program, but other you might become a guinea pig. So
I think I should revise my question a little bit. Foreigners can also join a program that foreigners also can join, or subsidies to the foreigners.
Okay. Let me take over. Thank you for the question. Very useful to learn. So there's flagship programs we talked about, like KSGC. They directly target that exists there. As it was also mentioned, there are different communities. And they are kind of go beyond. So you can be in the Reso's Kakao group, you can be in the Seoul Startup Slack group, but there are also different chamber of commerces where you can join as a member, or they host quite a lot of events. So you can find some interesting people with whom you can do projects through that as well. And I would say, additionally, the K-Startup website that I mentioned, again, at any given moment, you open now probably more than 150 different programs that you can apply for, as long as you have a company registered in Korea. So when they describe who is qualified to apply. They don't say like only Korean people can apply. So technically we all can apply for that as well. It's just the application is in Korean, so that's your hurdle. So if you have, let's say, Korean co-founder, right? They will help you to apply for that. It's not like you cannot apply for it. So you will be eligible for a lot of those programs as well. So they are all out there. You just need to find the right way to find them.
Say?
Yeah, like really quickly. Also, I will just add to this one. Like, don't focus only on the program, as he said, that it says like only for foreigner, because it just like limit yourself to apply for only like 2 of them, which is like K-Startup Grand Challenge and 1 more. But basically, as long as you're registered, look around for any one of them because it doesn't exclude foreigner. That's number 1. Number 2, as also Risu said, like in Daejeon, he just like find like one newly program. I just want to tell you, like every single city in South Korea, they have a budget for startups. So look around. Like a few months ago, by chance, I just find like a program that is run by Osong City for like companies who want to go abroad from Korea. So also that's something, you know, like they never said, oh, we need foreigner. They just need companies registered in Korea who want to go abroad, and then they give you like budget of like $200,000 a year. So there is like a lot of budgets everywhere around Korea. You just need to look around. And how to look around is, like I always say, as the gentleman said, is all about network. The more you go out, the more you meet people, the more you know. So just like surround yourself with the right ones.
Yep.
Thank you so much.
If I slightly add on that, there are programs already known in Korea that is open for foreign applicants. But if you are like foreign applicant, foreign CEO, single founder, it has a very low possibility of getting into it, because it's not about your level of Korean. It's more about, oh, it's a foreign applicant, then they're going to pitch in English, and we don't have an evaluator that much that can understand English or process it. This is exact comments I've got from all the foreign entrepreneurs who apply for the other local Koreans. They say it is open to everyone, but not really. Also from TOS, like there was a program a few years back. My friend asked me, can we apply for it? Because it didn't say no to foreigners. But when I made a call, they said, but we don't really see the possibilities of having a foreigners in it. Because if they're going to, they would have to speak like 100% good Koreans. And if that works, it works. But, you know, not like, because when they evaluate, they see the pictures first, right? So that's why I told you about the programs that was dedicated for foreigners in Korea. So it's increasing. Even DCamp does it occasionally. DCamp has a very active global team who's trying to operate more programs related to foreigners. Adler also tries to does it. 500 Global also tries to does it. They really try to interact with all the possible ecosystem players in Korea, not limited to Korean people. So there are increasing number of opportunities entering in. So stay tuned. Yep. Yeah. All right. Any other questions?
Join next forum event, right?
Yes, please. Join the next forum event. Other questions? Yep. Maria?
Hi, hello everyone. I have a question because you're mentioning foreigners coming to Korea, but I'm also curious what's if there is any incentive for Korean founders and startups to go to programs abroad, because also I think that can open the perspective of the difficulties that everyone was mentioning whenever you feel the pain outside and make changes inside. So is there any incentive for Korean founders to go to programs abroad, and if so, where? And yeah, thank you.
Should it be me or should it be Albert?
We both can. Okay, let me start. So thank you for the question. There is actually already a huge demand for that in Korea. There's a lot of different programs where founders located here in Korea, they get a chance to participate in global events or programs, different accelerator, let's say exhibitions, things like that. So Slush, for example, right? It's a pretty big event, global event. A lot of the times, one or another Korean government will support 5-10 teams to go there, or let's say there are, including startups, or there are really big events, exhibitions, CES, I'm in the medical. There's a medical event that happened in Dubai last year. They have like a Korea pavilion, and in there's like 20 different Korean companies. Out of them, again, 10 will be startups that can apply through here, right? And for the acceleration, there are like a lot of interesting global accelerators that run programs where Korean companies can test out their products in those markets. And there are programs run in US in different states, in Canada also, in Europe quite a bit. Germany is a very famous location for that. And yeah, this is very active already in Korea.
Can I just say something really quickly? So from my experience and the people I know around me is like Korean startups eyes on usually the first step is going to be like US, United States. And that's for like a lot of historical relationship, like true. So they always see that the next market is US, which is like also like related to somehow like when they see like some foreigners here, they immediately think like, are you American? You know, like, so outside Korea is like US first. And then when they go to US, they just see, oh, okay, there is different perspective. So I just want to, is that true? Somehow.
Yeah. Okay. So these days, what I always say is it's always matter of definition. How do we define incentives? Is it an opportunity? Is it a number of MOU papers you signed up? Is it the amount of the fund the government is providing? Or is it the flight ticket? Is it the hotel fees? It totally depends. But in my experience dealing with startups who are trying to go global in the government programs, yes, they get a lot of incentives, but do they get something tangible, and are they really sincere about it? And are those people who are really sincere and willing and ready and studied and done their homeworks, been there, done that, are applying for those kind of incentive programs? I don't really think so. So there are a lot of practical incentives and perspective that needs to be applied towards these kind of programs, and incentives has to slightly change as well. So it depends on the definition, I guess. All right. Would there be any other questions? No? Then, all right. So thank you for the panels. We're going to have a 10-minute break and come back with the Estonian embassy. Thank you, panels. Please give a warm applause. 10-minute break, everyone. 10-minute break.
I come undone when she tells me I'm the only one. I think I'm in love. I feel those shivers up my spine every time that it lets me mine. Could this be the love I used to dream of? Yes, I really think that I'm in love. I really think that I'm in love. I can't even get to Wilk Street. I stagger in the old town. One day I'm gonna break my teeth, crashing down against the lamplight in the street. I don't know it's been like this from the day we exchanged our first kiss. Honey, baby, shouldn't laugh like that just because I'm behaving like kid or a man. 'Cause it sounds strange, but it's true. Yeah, I'm not drunk on you, baby. 'Cause you make me dumb. 'Cause your world, when you're around, I stumble straight into the doors. I like to sink down on the floor. Yeah, being with you makes me high. You keep me rhythm, there will time. The more I try to get things straight, the more I make matters worse. 'Cause it sounds strange, but it's true. Yeah, I'm love drunk on you, baby. And I know it's been like this from the day we shared our first kiss. You know it's been like this. to the doors. I like to sing down on the floor. You've been with you makes me high. You keep me raving the world time. I try to get things straight. The more I make, matter worse, matter worse, matters worse, matters worse, matters worse. Monday is busy, Tuesday I feel dizzy, Wednesday is so tiring, Thursday uninspiring, the weekend comes around, I got already Monday on my mind. But I keep on smiling, cause I got a perfect hiding. I've been searching the solution, and it's not a revolution. The passion that will free us was hidden in plain sight to the world time. And you know summer is made for loving. Winter is the perfect time for Godland. Spring and fall are so romantic, right? But when we feel the things are crazy, we stay at home, we're making babies. And we stay home, we're making babies all night. Let have your eyes, my laughter and your smile. She'll be running like a devil, he'll be posing as a rebel. We'll teach him how to dance and then we go to France for a while. We'll be traveling the globe in a vintage station wagon, like a movie from the 80s. Making friends with some meetings, camping on volcanoes, taking random shots of the world. And you know summer is made for loving. Winter is the perfect time for Godland. Spring and fall are so romantic, right? And when we feel things are crazy, staying home, making babies. We stay at home, making babies all night. You know summer is made for loving. Winter is the perfect time for Godland. The spring and fall are so romantic, right? So when we feel the things are crazy, we stay home, making babies. So we stay home, making babies all night.
Ever since I know your name, you struck me on this cloud for a joyride. Hope every kiss would be the same, and every hug will last forever with you, my only love. With you in my heart and soul. When I look into your eyes, you had me in your hand like a puppet. Soon enough I realized I only wanna sway together with you, my only love. With you in my heart and soul.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna be starting in 4 minutes at 3:45. So please be seated by 3:45. Thank you. We have 4 minutes left.
And now that you're here, I can't just let you go. Won't you just stay here for a while?
gentlemen, thank you for staying connected and talking and making new friends. However, our appointed time for the session 1 that was supposed to be earlier today is now about to start. So please be seated. Please be seated. So Cross-Border Ecosystem Forum is focused on introducing unique hidden gem ecosystems around the world to be introduced to the South Korean startup ecosystem as a next location for their expansion. Also to address our improvement points within our ecosystem. And to introduce you, how many of you are familiar with e-residency in Estonia? You see? Yeah, I often suggest lots of Korean startups to set up their company in Estonia online, and which will be a very good beachhead for them to go to European market. And today, Estonia itself has came to us. Introducing Mr. Stan, Ambassador of Estonia at Korea. Please give a warm applause, everyone.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much for this nice introduction and for preaching about e-residency. That's great. That's great. But as I noticed, we don't really need too much preaching to do. We Estonians, and me in particular, I consider e-residents as my family members. You know, we really appreciate e-residents. But I will come back to e-residency now with my presentation. So I'm not doing this. I'm not doing startup speeches, remarks very often. This is my first time, in fact. But I get to attend those types of conferences a lot. But when I prepared for this one, I was thinking, so what an average random person would know about Estonia and startups. So if I can now, right? There we are. So I asked ChatGPT this question. So yeah, so I got the answer. It was a bit too long. It's the version 3.5. So I had to cut the end. Usually the last sentence repeats what's said. So I'm happy it mentions, of course, the favorable regulations, then Startup Estonia, which is important because Startup Estonia is a state agency that provided some of the slides, some data for me here. And those two startups that are now actually unicorns. But ChatGPT is not always right because there is a mistake. It says the country is home to companies like Wise and Bolt, but Wise is not anymore based in Estonia. It's in London. And that probably surely actually coincides with today's topic, how to make Korean companies actually go global in Estonia. That's a very common thing that our startups, fly away, but we're still very proud of them. So I also did the old school thing. I Googled, why is Estonia good in startups? And I got the answer I needed because it tells you about the country or the state or the society, and I think that's pretty much what's behind our success as a good startup ecosystem, because we were there early out in the 90s, internetizing our country and getting all our students online. All our state agencies also linked to internet, and we're talking about mid-90s. And that gave us later, of course, many of those startups that are nowadays unicorns. Starting with, of course, the most famous Estonian unicorn, Skype. But here is a chart that tells you about a typical startup in Estonia, I think most of those points around this rocket are pretty similar to any startup anywhere. But of course, what Estonian startups always look for is this global growth, getting global, becoming global. Just, out of necessity, because Estonia is a country of the size of a city of Dijon, 1.4 million. So just you cannot really, that cannot be your goal to operate in Estonia only. So yeah, here are the 10 unicorns that sprang out of Estonia, which makes us per capita the most unicorn-friendly country in Europe. So we have 10 unicorns and 1.3 million nation. Some of them are still based in Estonia, some of them are gone. Either the US, London, maybe something also in Luxembourg, but I'm not sure. So this is the data, the latest data, and it really tells us like something how useful this is to us, especially in the world like with ups and downs and crisis after crisis. I think this kind of saves us now. The numbers are up all the time. There is a great potential. Taxes are paid. The politicians are happy. This is also a very telling chart, let's say. So it's uphill there, and I'm sorry, this is a bit too small, but this is Estonia, and the next is Iceland, Sweden, and so on. And this is capital invested per capita in Estonian startups. So you can see that we are outperforming everybody. And of course, it's per capita, because Estonia is so small. If you think about like absolute numbers, it just would never stand out. You would never notice Estonia. But again, a quite telling data. This is the ecosystem. Never mind what's there. I just these are like 150 organizations supporting the startup ecosystem in Estonia. So mentoring, incubators, co-working communities, funding, and then startup mindset, pre-startup, startup, scale-up. So it's like on every step there is something going on. I don't know if 150 organizations is good or bad. I kind of have a feeling that it's quite okay, again, for the size of the ecosystem. Sorry, wrong button. But I'm here as a government representative, so I will tell you more about what the state of Estonia is doing. Here I have to start with Startup Estonia. It's and what we're doing like for the ecosystem to be good. Startup Estonia is a state agency, and it's there to mitigate, to facilitate, to communicate everything that startups want to know about how to operate in Estonia, to make it kind of easier to actually collect wishes, or if there are problems, kind of talk to the startup community and ask, do we need to change some laws? This is what Startup Estonia is doing. So it's the legislative environment we're talking about. And then, of course, as a state agency, it also kind of focuses on certain areas, like geographical area, but also putting more emphasis on cyber tech. And it runs a startup database. So it's a database where everybody can find a startup in Estonia. It also provides model documents. Let me see if, So there are like 22 sheets or like model documents free to use and download. Like all kinds of agreements, you have to have with your partners or finding finances. It's all there in English. It's prepared, ready to download. And then, of course, the state agency deals with startup visas. It has a role of, it has actually a commission that looks through all those startuppers that want to bring the company to Estonia or themselves. They will go through this, give an approval, and then us, the embassies abroad, will then issue a visa or a residence permit to the person. And that has already attracted over 4,000 individuals who have moved to Estonia. And when they come to Estonia, then there is something called the International House. That's, from what I hear from actually the real people that have moved to Estonia, is very useful. We don't think about it very often, but people don't come just alone. They come with their wives, with their children, with their dogs. And this is International House of Estonia is one-stop shop. You go there and you say, I have 2 children here, they need kindergarten. I need medical insurance, so I need to register with some doctor. So this is the office where it happens. You go there. I know it because my wife worked there too, and it's free of charge. So it's very often people come off the plane and go straight to this office and get all their information and the help they need. They make phone calls from there for you. So they can also make an appointment for you in other offices. Let me see. Model documents we start. Yeah, this is the database that Startup Estonia is running. And of course, finally, e-residency. So you don't really need to go physically to Estonia actually to do business. And I'm happy that there are some e-residents here in this crowd. The chip card, which you see on the photo, that's old technology. That's like that. We have had it in Estonia for over 20 years now. But what it can do is important here. So you can do all these things. I've listed there the three main ones, and this gives you an opportunity to set up a company in Estonia, register it, operate it, and stay here in Seoul. Really, you can send your contract over by encrypted email, thanks to this card, and so you actually save also a flight to Estonia. And this digital signature is valid throughout the EU. So basically, it's not only an Estonian thing. There is a EU standard, and that kind of follows it. It actually is we made the standard. It's the leading standard in the EU. So, but now everybody else has adopted it. So again, this helps the entrepreneur to access the market, the EU market, not only Estonian. By now, we have issued over 105 e-residency cards, 105,000 e-residency cards all over the world. Almost 2,000 here in Korea. It's still very popular. We issue like 10, 15 per month. And of course, our aim is that these family members, as I said, they establish a company in Estonia. Not all do, but percentage-wise, like 27% of the e-residents actually make that effort. And Korean e-residents have opened 185 companies in Estonia. I think this is a quite a good number, considering how far those two countries are, and also I always compliment those who make this step, because what it means is when you register yourself as e-resident, you basically load up your private data, you scan your passport, the front page of your passport, and you download it to the server of Estonian government, and basically you give away a big chunk of your privacy. So that must say something about the trust people have in the Estonian government, and we are happy. This program the government, the Estonian government, has not used any taxpayer money to promote it, because since it's a government issued ID, our taxpayers would never agree that we would like campaign all over the world for it. So it has been like from the information has been moving from one person to another, like between communities, startuppers, digital nomads, just cool people, and the result is that we have 105,000 people, which is basically 8% of our population carrying this card. So that's it. I wanted to keep it short because I think we can also have some questions. I hope I can answer them. Thank you. And if you ever have time and if you have ever questions, to come and visit us, because at Seoul Square building, just opposite Seoul Station, we have a brand new Estonian business hub that actually deals with all that, with startups, with e-residency, just tells people what the options are, how to apply for it, what to do, and advises people for free. Thank you.
So Mr. Stan and I will have a small fireside chat to absorb some of the questions and also to have some interesting chats. Please have a seat. So yes, since we have mentioned about digital nomads at the end, I would love to ask, as I know, Estonia has lots of digital nomads coming into the Nordic regions and Baltic regions, and which season would be the best time, and what would be the advantage for the developers to visit by Estonia? What are the most unique tastes that they could get out of it?
You're asking me what is the best season to visit Estonia?
Yeah, for digital nomads.
For digital nomads, they can come whenever. They are all welcome, and yeah. But as I said, digital nomads don't really need to visit Estonia. So they can be wherever they are.
Okay. Every July to August is the most difficult time for me to invite speakers, because most of digital nomads, they decide to leave Korea during this rainforest season. It's too humid. If I was only rich, I would have, but I'm staying in Korea to work. But yeah, so I often suggest Estonia for a place to visit, although I haven't been to. And yeah, what are the sectors, those startups that must visit or consider Estonia as their entry market, like certain sectors?
Well, let me just go back a bit, because the whole development we had in the last 30 years was because we didn't have any heavy industry. We're not an agricultural country. So it actually tells you about what sectors are there. I mean, I'm not going to go into particularities, but it is information technology, it's IT. And there is a lot to choose from.
So to dig in a bit deeper, what would be the minimum wage these entrepreneurs should be expecting if we are to hire Estonians, or the laborship that we can choose in Estonia?
Okay, well, that's a good one. I don't have an answer for you. In this hall, there is actually a person from Estonia representing a startup community. I don't know, Mr. Pallo, Indrek, do you have any kind of idea what? And I'll give you a microphone.
You can jump into the stage. Please
Yes.
give a warm applause to the brave man.
Hi. I said my name is Indrek. I represent a company called Draper Startup House, which is building a global chain of business hubs around the world. It's actually a Singapore headquartered company, but we have one unit in Estonia as well, and I'm also looking after the European market. But to answer your question about the labor costs and so on, then I think like most of Western countries, we are lacking the tech labor force, the software developers, the cyber experts, and so on. So it is I mean, if you're good in what you do, then you can expect a pretty decent salary as well. So I think the entry-level software developers are, if we talk about net salaries, then say around 2,000, and I think it can go up to 10,000 per month easily. So euros I'm talking about, not ones.
That would be a problem if it was once. So,
but yeah, of course, it's there are, as the ambassador showed, we have a lot of unicorns already, and for example, the better known ones Wise, which is financial technology, and Bolt, which is the ride sharing company. I mean, they have around 1,000 people in Estonia, and they are hiring globally. So so this is something which you know, those companies can afford to pay very good salaries for very good experts. But there's also a different business model for remote workers. There are quite a number of companies who have in Estonia maybe only 5-10 people, but globally they hire say a few hundred. So one of my friends, a startup guy, he uses e-residency for that purpose. So if somebody if he hires from Mexico, he says, why don't you become an e-resident, set up a company in Estonia, and then the Estonian company will basically provide services for the main company. And that's for him it's very easy to hire, because I mean, if he would go to Mexico and start hiring there, then it would be a bit of a problem to how to get how to pay taxes and all that stuff. So that's another model they're using for hiring.
awesome. So to ask a bit more in extent, would there be any incubation programs or acceleration programs or government policies that supports like influx of startups to Estonia, maybe a tax exemption or easier access to visas or other regions or transaction? Would there be anything like that?
Well, we mentioned visas already, so that's of course a government program. Tax exemptions, not so much. We're not the tax haven really. What we have is of course quite reasonable and understandable tax system. We score quite high in all those tax rankings. Well, the tax right now is 21%, yeah?
Corporate income tax
Yes.
is 20%. Yeah.
20%, yeah. And it's flat. And tax on reinvested profits is basically zero. So if the money stays within the company, it's not taxed if it's reinvested in the company. So that's an incentive, but that applies to all of the companies.
Wow.
Yeah, only yeah. I mean, Estonia is very good in very simple and straightforward business environment as such. Regarding taxes and administration, it's I mean, compared to say the rest of the 200 countries in the world, I mean, it's the easiest place to actually conduct business, and it's running a business in Estonia is much more. It's cheaper than anywhere else, basically. But about the accelerators and the incubation programs and stuff like that, the government does not get involved with that anymore. there used to be something which it was called Smart Cap, which I think it was around 15, 20 years ago, when there was no real venture capital in the country. Then they created this government VC to start investing in the startups. But now they've stopped that, and there's a lot of VCs, local VCs that have set up, and the eyes of the rest of the world's VCs are on Estonian startups. And that's also the reason why so many set up in Estonia, because the venture capital guys know that good things come from Estonia. But we don't have like 500 startups or Y Combinator, accelerations in Estonia. But there are a lot of good local programs, Startup Wise Guys to mention. There's also Super Angel acceleration program, and so on. You can find that information on Startup Estonia website if you're interested in that, or later on you can approach me and I can also advise you who to go to for your specific reason.
Okay. So if Korean startups or any startup here plans to expand to Estonia by establishing a company over there, what kind of market access should we be expecting? Like, which countries does Estonian startups or company has the most transactions with? Or what are the opportunities that lies in the European regions, specifically if we do a business in Estonia?
And the answer is very simple. Estonia is part of the European single market, so whatever business you do there, it's all free. You can do it all over, and that's it. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, since I'm sure you're familiar with the European single market concept.
Yeah.
You're in there, no borders, free movement of goods, free movement of services. So basically, you don't need to worry about anything as such, about customs duties or whatever. But I mean, if we talk about startups, then by default we are talking about global sort of reach anyway. So I think more than anything, it is about is it the right place for your specific case? Because I mean, there's no kind of single startup as such. They are all different requirements, different business models, and so on. But as said earlier, the ease of doing business is something which attracts a lot of companies to come to Estonia.
Awesome. So would there be any questions from the audience so far? Anyone? Yes. Niall, can someone give the mic? Oh.
Thank you for your talk. We barged in like a bit late, so I missed the golden part. But it was really great coincidence because last night all together, among the co-founders, we were talking about establishing a branch in Estonia because we're trying to work with a French company, and Estonia was the perfect. It seemed to be perfect option. We're still trying to figure out and we're happy that we get to directly ask you and get your insights. Just there is one part that we couldn't understand in terms of tax. There is double taxation treaty with between Korea and Estonia. So there is no problem with that. So it's even more fantastic. But there was the concept of dividends. Distributed within Estonia, and also dividends invested outside of Estonia. Does dividend mean revenue, profit? It can be a dumb question, but just we all try to what are the dividends? It was straight from the official website. Thank you.
Yeah, maybe I can address this one. We differentiate in Estonia about if you, let's say, your company makes 100,000 euros profit in a year. If you retain that 100,000 in the company, then it's not taxed. It's you can use it for the growth of the company or whatever you want to do with it. unless you keep, as long as you keep it in the company. If you pay out the profits, then this is meant dividends is paid out profits from the company. So if I'm the owner of this company, I decide to pay the whole 100,000 dividends as a income from me personally, then this is taxed with the 20%. Yeah.
Awesome. Anything to add, Alex? I saw you raising hands, so.
So something I can add, because I have a company in Estonia. So the dividends as you mentioned, you just pay when you wanna make a withdrawal of the money from the company. And like a good maybe cheat code here is that you can get like a really cheap place in Estonia that you can rent as your residency, and then you can make pretty much all of your expenses in Korea your business expense, which would mean you wouldn't pay tax on that because you just have it as a business expense and there is no operational business tax in Estonia. So maybe that's like a little cheat key I can add here. Yeah.
Maybe just to add as well to the administration part of the companies, there are a lot of service providers who are actually dedicating themselves to e-residence companies. So you can easily approach one of those companies, which is also easily you can find them on e-residency website, and you don't need to worry about the company administration. They do the tax declarations. They provide you with the business address and stuff like that. So essentially, once you get the e-residency card, you can set up the company in Estonia and use the service providers to the company administration. So as simple as that.
All right. Awesome. Will there be any other questions? Didn't know we had so many Estonians in the room. Please, jump in. Should I keep on asking the question?
How many of you are actually having some operation outside Korea or thinking of going to Europe as such? Right. Quite a few.
So we have Shane, who was...
Yeah, I was asking one question about the programs. So are there any supporting programs or trial markets, validate programs for overseas startups? Any programs to support to Korean startups or overseas startups who want to establish in startups in Estonia?
The answer is no.
Basically, the Estonian government as such is trying to. So what the government does is trying to provide everyone the best possible business environment. If we come to the different programs for startups to come to Estonia, then we have of course the startup visa program, which helps people from third countries to come to EU, because I mean it might be quite sort of complicated in some cases, and you can bring your team with you. So this is something which is important for many. And but if you talk about like acceleration programs, incubation programs, stuff like that, then this is handled by private companies. So you can, there are different incubators and accelerators that are running there, and you can apply for some of their batches that are coming up. And if they see that your business is something which attracts their attention, then you can, you get whatever the particular program offers for you. Usually it's a combination of expertise. It's some educational element. It is different parts of building your startup from idea validation to MVP to scaling and so on. So it's usually the government does not get involved in Estonia where the market can already provide something itself. So we're pretty laissez-faire or liberal, country in that sense. So we don't kind of the government gets involved only when it's needed. I think it's a fair statement.
Yes, the whole point is that it's equal to everybody. It's clear, it's understandable, and that's the incentive for entrepreneurs to come.
Yeah, it's also, for example, if we take the foreign direct investments, many countries provide tax exemptions. They give huge subsidies. But in Estonian case, we don't want to do that, because if you do that, if you have two companies, let's say in engineering, they do both did a large investment. One just came 10 years earlier, and now somebody's coming and you provide them with tax exemption. You give them a, lump sum of 10 million, take it. So you immediately put those two companies in a very uneven situation in the competitive scenery. So we don't want to punish the ones who have already invested, who've built in Estonia, who've come there, employed, paid taxes and so on, and just to attract the newcomers and put the previous investors into a very unfavorable situation.
Okay. So as our time is passing away, and since many people were like in between of networking, I would like to ask one question to both of you to close it down. What would be the spirit of Estonia if you kind of put it into one sentence? Because Korea is like a country for morning calm, but people are super hot-tempered. Everything has to be fast, but at the same time conservative. Everyone's needs are so segmented. Everyone needs different things. Everyone wants different things, but they want to be trendy, but at the same time not that much trendy. So what would be the spirit of Estonian market? Because I think it would be very important information for us to know if we expect to expand our market to Estonia. These are the customers that we will be dealing with.
It must be the ease of doing business or simplicity. That's the main aim.
Yeah, I agree with Ambassador. It is indeed the ease of doing business, and we're a Nordic European country with quite humble people. Nobody's pushing their own ego that much, and the living environment as such is well regarded by foreigners, and it is a nice place to be. But coming back to the ease of doing business, I was working in Singapore for 2 years some years ago, and Singapore regards themselves as the place where it's very easy to do anything. But me as an Estonian, when I had to deal with some government for residence permits and stuff like that, so they run me around, go do the photo there, then go there. I was like, come on guys, stop it now. It's
not easy at all.
It was not easy at all. But then when I went to pick up my residency card, I think there was an American lady who was there, and she was saying, guys, it's so nice, and everything was so smooth and perfect. It was how do you do that? And I was like, what the hell is she talking about?
Yeah,
so it's the matter of perspective always. For me, it seemed super complicated, but obviously she was coming from an environment which was even more complicated. So, if you don't like the bureaucracy, if you like to get things done, then I think this is a place for you.
All right. Well, please give a big applause to our wonderful speakers. Thank you, Your Excellency. Thank you. Now we're going to have a 20-minute break for you to have some networkings to go. Please stay tuned and get your phones charged up, because I have prepared a small game for all of you to connect with the speakers and the audience. So please stay tuned and see you back in 4:40. Thank you.
Your lover, your friend to the end. He could never love you like I could love you. You know it's true. All you've gotta do is run to me. I've been waiting all my life to have someone like you. One look in these eyes and you will realize I'm lonely too. So run to me. I want you so badly. Run to me. I'll come through for you. Don't despair. There's no use in wasting another night. Don't stop love from taking flight. So darling, run to me. Been waiting all my life to have someone like you. One look in these eyes and you will realize I'm lonely too. So run to me. I want you so badly. Run to me. I'll come through for you. Don't despair. There's no use in wasting another night. Don't stop love from taking flight. So darling, run to me. Run to me. I never knew when today could be wrong until I found you. And to the store I never knew when the night could be sweet until you swept me up from my feet down. The rain sings, the cup smiles, it finds me where style. The car got a flat tire, but riding shotgun eyes, someone like you. So every day, when the alarm blows my ears, I see you slipping on the pearls and clears, and every time everything seems to go wrong. You know your voice sounds just like a song. The rain sings, the cup smiles, it finds me blue with stars. The car got a Run to me. You'll never be lonely. Run to me. I'll be here for you. I swear there's no use pretending that he still loves you or still cares. If you want me to, all you've gotta do is run to me. 'Cause I'm your one and only. Let me be your lover, your friend to the end. He could never love you like I could love you. You know it's true. All you've gotta do is run to me. I've been waiting all my life to have someone like you. One look in these eyes and you will realize I'm lonely too. So run to me. I want you so badly. Run to me. I'll come through for you. Don't despair. There's no use in wasting another night. Don't stop love from taking flight. So darling, run to me. Been waiting all my life to have someone like you.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for staying in the networks. We still have 1 more minute, but please be noted that we're starting very soon. So you don't want to miss this. I'm 100% sure.
Run to me, I'll come through.
.40 is here, everyone. It is exactly the moment for you to get seated and prepare your phone. This session, you would need your phone. I already done some beta tests with some of the friends that I know in the community, and this is going to be very interesting. I have spent approximately 2 to 3 hours to prepare this presentation, so please be seated. All right, all right. Today we were supposed to invite Jonathan, the CEO of CNT Tech, to the stage, but unfortunately, due to the hassles that he had, we had to invite other personnel who is also in a very quality level from CNT as a speaker. Also, how many of you are familiar with the Chile startup ecosystem? Please raise your hand. Maria, you're obvious. That's something new. So we have an accelerator from Chile and one of the representing accelerator from Korea as our guest speaker to introduce about each other's ecosystem. And our Executive Secretariat of Korea Accelerators Association, Shane, will be moderating with me. So please welcome with a big applause, everyone.
Come on, come on. You are the center. Please.
All right. So let's start from Shane. Please introduce us yourself.
Me?
Yes.
Okay, again, nice to meet you. I'm Shane. I'm from Korean Accelerator Association. Why I'm here is I'm the one of the moderator, but I can speak Korea well, so I can share the insight with him. But the Korea has a lot of accelerators in right now, around 400, and CNT is almost the top tier of the accelerator. So I'm very happy to bring you on the stage, and Maria as well. Yeah, I'm very excited about this discussion.
All right, awesome. Thank you. Rex, please introduce yourself. I might be translating, by the way, guys. Yeah.
Okay, thanks for having me here, and also thanks for taking out your busy time. And my name is Daesun Park. You can call me Rex. And today, on behalf for my company CNT Tech, and I'm the manager of accelerating team. So that's all for me, and I'll hand it to Maria.
Yep. Yes, please, Maria.
Thank you. Hi. Hello, everyone. It's very nice to be here. Thanks for the invite. My name is Maria de la Paz, Maria Noel de la Paz. That's my whole name. I'm originally from Uruguay, but I've been living in Chile for the past 10 years. I fell in love with innovation and entrepreneurship in 2014 when I joined the Startup Chile team. It's the first government program in Chile that supports founders from everywhere in the world to come to Chile and develop their business. Later, I went on to work at SeedStars, which is also an accelerator and a key player in emerging markets. And I traveled around Latin America finding different founders and startups. And currently, I'm working at Magical, which is a VC and accelerator in Chile. I'm leading the acceleration program there and also working with founders that are solving problems in the region. So thanks for having me. I'm very excited for the panel.
Yay!
How distance from here to Chile? In flight?
It took me 42 hours to arrive to Korea.
42 hours.
Yeah.
That's not a journey I will take. No, I'll definitely take. So, for this session, please open up your phone and open up your camera because we will start from a very simple question. Please prepare your phone. This is an Entrepreneur's World Cup. So please scan the QR code. Please scan the QR code. It will be a moment of silence. You can take this one. Scan the QR code and the password will be 1234. Everyone working? It's not working? No way. I just paid $35 to unleash the QR code. Is it working? All right, let's go. Choose the entrepreneur you would prefer to invest, or you can you can also consider their startup they founded or managed and choose the final winner. I see people laughing. I see people smiling. Yeah, start. Go ahead. And remember who you choose at the last. I see some Elon Musk. Ooh. Okay. I some Jack Ma.
Wow. CNT.
All right. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4입니다. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is going to be interesting. Alex, you're done? Not yet. You have to see the final winner. Final winner.
Just doing. So what about final?
Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah, still working. Okay.
Still working
I'm
on
still
it?
working it as well.
Working on it. For fewer information, Rax actually outlisted his boss. So, okay. All right. We see a lot of Sam Altman, a lot of Steve Jobs, Sam Altman. All right. How many of you have chosen Sam Altman? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Wow. Okay. How many of you chosen Steve Jobs? The idol. How many of you chosen 백종원? Oh, 백종원 is here. Okay. How many of you chosen Walt Disney? Interesting. Interesting. Okay. How many of you chosen Jonathan, the CEO of CNT Tech? Okay. He's the final winner? Okay. All right. So let's hear from our panels.
So who you choose? Who's the winner?
Oh, actually, I chose Sam Altman because I'm at this industry and I'm working at one of the active accelerator in Korea as well. And I think all among the accelerator, I think we think the same way. The Y Combinator made this accelerating program and systems very well. So I admire him. I admire him. So yeah,
okay.
That is.
Is it OpenAI CEO, right?
Yeah.
Sam Altman.
Yeah, he was former Y Combinator CEO as well.
I see. So what about Maria?
I chose Walt Disney.
Walt Disney.
Yeah, actually, my final was Sam Altman and Walt Disney. And actually, I chose him because I think, in terms of the question, that was like who you would invest. And and usually me being a VC, I always look, there's a saying that we invest in the jockey and not on the horse. So for me, it's very key to talk to the founder. And if he shows me he's a visionary, which I think Walt Disney is definitely on the top of being a visionary. Also, that he has integrity. For me, that's also very important because that means that it's a trustworthy person for me to invest. And year after year, it shows good moral decisions. And for me, that's very important when investing. Also, that has flexibility and adaptability. And I think, for example, Walt Disney had a lot of flexibility and adaptability throughout the growth of his company. also great communication skills so that he can communicate his vision. And I don't think there's a better storyteller in the world than Walt Disney, that everyone can relate to his stories and his vision. So I think those 4 traits for me are the key of being a great founder and building a great company. So that's why for me, Walt Disney is king.
Not the mustache.
Well, you know.
How about Shane? What did you
Yeah,
choose?
I choose Jonathan.
Okay, why?
He's from CNT. Yeah, I said that CNT is the top tier accelerator in Korea, and is young, still alive. The CNT has a record of investment a year. It's around 80 or 90 startups investing a year. And also, Jonathan is one of the vice presidents of associations.
Okay. All right. So, who chose Baek-jong-won? Now let me go to the audience who chose Baek-jong-won, who raised her hand first.
I love his the food, everything, and then he is really crazy to spread of the clay food. That's all.
Thank you, thank you. What else? Who chose other? Who think they chose the most interesting founder? Spotify, maybe? Anyone chose Spotify? Okay, Hussein, why did you choose?
So, as Maria said exactly, I would definitely always choose to invest in someone culture and attitude, and those people really has like a good culture. So the people found at Spotify is like people work for passion for the music. So this is like the most passionate thing. So the jokey.
All right. Now I want to look for someone else who have chosen Walt Disney. Who was it? Walt Disney? No, like it needs the final winner. Okay, let's ask Erdnik. Why did you choose Sam Altman?
By thinking about the future possibilities that, and also judged by how many impact we have created entire world recently, huge traction. So it's pretty interesting. But my last choice was I was between with Jeff Bezos and Sam Altman. So Jeff Bezos, I believe, very much a visionary and built $1 trillion company. Right, I would love to invest that if I'm alive in his age, so in his time. So Sam Altman's creates something. Also, it's resonated with me because the similar story. So I'm seeing him as a role model because he was also running an accelerator. I'm also running an accelerator. So he has first-hand experience on the challenges of these and first-hand experience on what technology is going on there. So and then based upon this, he developed something and changed the world. So it's a pretty good one. So.
All right, fair enough. It was very interesting activity to go through with the audience and the speakers. So, oh yeah, did anyone choose Mark Zuckerberg? Oh, Jerome, I have to ask. Why Zuckerberg?
So I don't think there's a lot of companies that have had as much impact as Facebook in terms of allowing entrepreneurs, small companies to create new products and find customers at scale and at a relatively cheap cost. So, 6 years ago, it was fairly easy to set up a store, sell swimwear or I don't know, T-shirts or whatever you had to sell or were making, and Facebook would be able to efficiently find your customers. And there are so many, like thousands of companies that are making hundreds of millions of dollars today that were built on top of that platform when it was efficient.
Okay, that's an interesting point of view. He's reptilian, so I'm messing with you guys. Okay, so that was like our question number 1, and now we're gonna go to question number 2. For the accelerator point of view, to globalize the startups. So can you
Please
set up
off on the projector.
yeah presentation? Okay. Which portfolio company of yours would be most suitable for global expansion right now? Which portfolio company of CNT?
How many portfolio do you have?
We have approximately about 530 portfolios in our company, and as Sin said, we are investing. About last year, we have invested over 70 startups last year. So, yeah. And before we start this conversation, and I would like to share our portfolio that comes up in my mind. And sorry for my lack of English skill. I will say in Korean, and he might translate for you guys. Is it okay with?
I might.
Yeah,
okay. I will. Go ahead.
네. 저희 포트폴리오사 중에서 이제 가장 기억에 남는 거는 이제 시에라베이스라는 회사이고요. Should I go on?
Yeah, go on.
Okay. 시에라베이스라는 회사는 그 안전 진단을 좀 자동화하고 있는 회사입니다. 그래서 쉽게 설명드리자면은 지금 기존에는 사람이 매뉴얼로 진행하고 그 다음에 드론을 조종하시는 파일럿 분들이 매뉴얼로 진행하고 있는 뭐 시설물 안전진단이라든지 교량 안전진단이라든지 아니면 발전소 안전진단을 프로그램을 이용해 가지고 자동화하고 있는 회사입니다.
So it will be the
SerraBase,
which is a company that automates the safety diagnosis process that can be applied for the plantations or the facilities or infrastructures, which was done manually in the past, but which is now became much more pragmatic based on the drone technologies and many others and etc. So that will be their portfolio company they would choose.
그래서 그 드론뿐만 아니라 이제 어떠한 개발한 디바이스를 이제 다른 기기, 예를 들면은 보스턴 다이내믹스에서 만들고 있는 스팟이라던가 그런 기기에 넣어도 자동으로 그 지역을 분석해가지고 그 안전진단 보고서까지 자동으로 작성해주는 플랫폼을 만들고 계시고요. 제가 이
So they're also developing a platform that will provide the safety diagnosis report and analysis, even though they get to implement on the other devices other than drones, like robots from Boston Dynamics or something else.
제가 그래서 지금 많은 안전진단 업체라든지 그리고 플랫폼 그 대형 플랜트 회사, 발전소 회사들에서 관심을 받고 지금 현재 POC 진행하고 있고 그 다음에 본 계약까지 넘어가서 매출을 만들고 있어요. 매출 한 10억 정도 되고 있습니다.
So they're getting lots of interest from plantations and the facilities for the usage of service. And beyond the contract they initially had, now they're recording about $1 million worth of revenue per year.
네, 제가 이 기업을 추천하는 이유는 사실 되게 간단합니다. 첫 번째는 사람들이 좋아하고 고객들이 원하는 기술을 개발했다는 점이고요. 그리고 두 번째는 지속 가능한 회사라는 점입니다.
So the main reason that he chose this company would be two. One would be it's because it's customer centric. They made a technology that is demanded by the people and the company. And second would be that this business is something that is very sustainable.
네, 첫 번째 관련해서 말씀드리자면은 사람처럼 이제 건물은 노후화가 진행이 됩니다. 제가 여기 IR 찬 자리는 아닌데, 네, 사람과 같이 건물은 노후화가 진행되는데요. 이제 옛날 같은 경우에는 건물이 노후화가 진행되면은 그냥 부셔버리고 새로 다시 지었습니다. 왜냐하면은 기존에 지었던 건물 같은 경우에는 층수도 낮고 새로 지을 경우에는 훨씬 크고 훨씬 높게 지어서 이익을 낼 수 있었기 때문이죠.
So in the past, if the building became old, they would usually demolish it and build something new, something that's taller and bigger.
하지만 아마 서울에 다 오셨으면 아시겠지만 롯데타워라든지 아니면 저희가 여기 있는 그 프론트원 같은 건물은 만약에 노후화가 더 돼서 30년 정도가 지나면은 새로 지을 수 있을까요? 저는 아니라고 생각합니다.
So, but as if you're living in Seoul, you can easily see the top skyscrapers like Lotte Tower or the front one that we are staying here. These kind of big buildings, if it grows old in over 30 years, do we really have an option to demolish it and rebuild it? Not really.
한국만 해도 현재 지금 6개월마다 안전 진단을 받아야 되는 외관 기준으로 안전 진단을 받아야 되는 시설들이 15만 개 정도 있습니다. 그리고 이거는 법으로 정해져 있고요. 해외에도 제가 알고 있기로는 비슷한 상황이라고 생각합니다.
So just in Korea, we have 150,000 buildings that needs to be regularly checked for the safety analysis, safety diagnoses every 6 months. And this can be also applied abroad.
네. 그래서 저는 한국에서 이제 글로벌하게 문제가 되고 있는 주제를 가지고 로컬에서 어느 정도 가설 검증을 끝내고 인정받는 회사인 시에라 베이스가 어떻게 보면은 글로벌하게 가기에 좋다고 생각합니다.
So that this company that may also have a need in abroad and in the same time who have already finalized this proof of concept in the local market seems to has the highest survival possibility. So that's why we chose Sierra Basin.
네, 두 번째로는 영속성인데요. 과거에는 이제 뭐 한국 기준으로는 뭐 쿠팡이라든지 이런 매출을 많이 일으키고 수익을 신경 안 쓰면서 마케팅과 같은 아니면은 투자로 이제 성장하게 되는 성공 방정식이 있었습니다. 하지만은 지금 같은 경우에는 업계도 많이 얼어붙어 있고 자생하는 게 굉장히 중요하다고 생각해요. 저희 CNT테크 같은 경우도 과거에는 상품이라든지 어떻게 보면은 이런 MAU라던가 이런 지표들을 많이 봤다면은 현재 같은 경우에는 이 회사가 얼마나 잘 성장할 수 있는지 그리고 BEP는 언제쯤 맞출 수 있는지를 더 보게 되는 것 같습니다.
So in the past, like companies like Coupang have made a success case that kind of allured a lot of startups to consider the scalability over profitability. So they were a bit insensitive about the importance of profitability, which also changed the investment strategy of CNT Tech to focus on the business sustainabilities with the securance of profitabilities or the break-even points.
그래서 꼭 이 회사뿐만 아니라 이제 이 회사 같은 경우에도 매출액 10억 정도의 영업이익 2천만 원 정도를 내고 있는 걸로 알고 있는데요. 이렇게 자신의 그러니까 투자를 받지 않고도 영속적 있게 회사를 운영할 수 있는 회사가 어떤 추가적인 포인트라고 하죠. 포인트를 가기 위해서 투자를 받는 그런 회사들이 제 생각에는 더 값지고 그 다음에 해외로 나갈 때 더 가능성이 있을 것 같아서 선정하게 되었습니다.
So these kind of sustainable companies, without the investment, those can bootstrap themselves and still generate revenues. For example, Serabase generates about 20K net revenue out of $1 million profit. So 20K, yeah. So that will be the main focus, and those kind of startups will be highly survivable in overseas market. So that's why we chose that company.
네, 감사합니다. 네, thank you.
How could you translate like this perfectly?
I was not good. I was not good.
Thank you for listening.
But yeah, let's move on to Maria.
Can you translate too?
We'll try if I need to.
안녕하세요. Yeah, so the question for us in our portfolio, we have around 42 startups in our portfolio. And usually, because of the nature of my region, specifically from Chile or even from Uruguay, Chile has a market of 19 million people. Uruguay has a market of around population of 3.4 million people. So for us or for founders, whenever they start a company, thinking about expansion and going global and like getting out of the borders of our own countries, it's a must. So with that being said, the one startup, but all of our startups are currently globally engaged. The first stage for us is usually Latin American, other Latin American countries, because of culture, because of language. The good thing that we have is that from Mexico downward all to Argentina and Chile, everyone speaks Spanish, even though we have different cultures and each one of the countries have like very different ways and very different customs and ways of doing things in business. But the language unifies us, so that's something that's easier, except for Brazil, of course, that's a continent for itself. That's actually something that helps us in terms of lowering the risk and making a founder a little more prone to do business outside, because we know that it's very hard to do business with someone that doesn't speak your language, or maybe the culture, it's very different. So that's our first step, and that's how they start learning about how to expand and getting mistakes and solving those mistakes and moving forward. So one of the startups that I actually really like from my portfolio, it's called Vita Wallet. And actually, they are two brothers from Venezuela. And they left from Venezuela to Chile because there are, I'm not sure if you're aware, but there are a lot of social issues in Venezuela and a lot of instability. So they moved to Chile and they realized they started having a problem because they wanted to send money back home. And the options that they had were Western Union or like the normal, or bank transfers or other platforms, but they were too expensive and it lasted, like it was a very long time. And there are also options like Wise, for example, that they mentioned before, but they do not provide service for Latin America usually, or it's the price, it's a little high. So they created their own platform. It's called Vita Wallet. So they what they do, it's like a digital wallet. So you can incorporate money to your bank account, and then it goes directly to the bank account of the person that you're trying to send the money to. And it's really fast, and the cost is very low. And they have like very different currencies, Bitcoins, and different cryptocurrencies as well. So it has been very interesting in Latin America, because also now they're providing to companies as well. So if you have a remote working team, it always was a big problem too, how you're going to pay them and different things. So they're actually solving like a really big issue in Latin America of like of borderless send of money. So and also not only because the solution is impacting a lot of people, because people from Venezuela or from different parts of Latin America, that they work in other different regions and send money to their families, but also they're making people can work anywhere in the world, and they can do bank transfers in fast, easy, safe. It hasn't been a really easy road for them. I actually started working with them in 2019, and I've seen firsthand how tough it is, the fintech industry. But they have had the adaptability and the resilience to now they're in almost every country in Latin America, and hopefully they will expand as well to Asia and different places. So yeah, and as I said before, I think it's not the solution or the problem, but those two guys are incredible in what they do. They're very focused. They're very focused in solving that problem because they had it themselves. So they know how it hurts. So they're helping out all the region and hopefully the world in getting those money across and making the world more global.
Yeah, I think the same thing happens in Africa too, and many of fintech startups in Africa also solve the similar problems. And I think it's interesting. Anything to add on, Shane?
I can translate in Korean, right? Okay. Anyway, I just thought there are CNT Tech. You recommend the one company. The business is B2B, right? So what symptoms of that company shows the globalization possibilities? You mean the POC? It's on the process. So what the customer do the POC with?
제가 정확하게 IR 자료를 다시 보고 오진 못했는데 아마 한국원자력연구원이랑 진행을 아마 했었을 거예요. 그래가지고 거기서 좋은 결과를 얻었던 걸로 알고 있고 정확하지 않아서 제가 네. 근데 해외로는 제가 알고 있기로는 지금 뭐 사우디라든지 이런 곳과 얼마 전에 피칭도 진행을 했었고 계속 태핑하고 있는 중으로 알고 있고요. 가시된 성과는 제가 한번 업데이트해서 전달 한번 드리도록 하겠습니다.
So far in Korea, their proof of concept was done with the nuclear plant, Korea Nuclear Plant, which is a national organization. And also they recently have pitched for the Saudi Arabian investors.
그 산하빌이라는 그 구형 투자 회사에
So it was a
피칭했었습니다.
national
한국에 왔을 때요.
It was a national investment office by Saudi Arabia, and they made a pitch and still making a lot of attempts to globally expand their business. All right.
So Maria, I just wanna asking you. So you stayed in Korea. How long is it? 1 month?
Almost, 2 months and a half.
2 months and a half. Do you have any? Do you feel that kind of opportunities for your portfolio startups in Korea business?
From our startups in Korea?
In Korea.
I think so. Yeah, definitely. I think there are a lot of opportunities for startups in Latin America. I think sometimes because it's a 42-hour away flight, we are not in the map maybe from each other. But being here, I've heard and learned a lot from the startups that work here. I can see how professional, how the right mind and the also the support, the professionalism, and there are also a lot of resources. And I think it would be a great match with Latin American founders too, that have maybe a little bit more of flexibility and resilience in terms of like in terms of like being a founder. And I think it would be a great match. I don't see that there are a lot of Latin American founders here currently. Hopefully that will grow because I think culturally there are a lot of connections that we can make. But yeah, I think there are a lot of opportunities, and I'm actually going to see the way of making that bridge happen and have more people and more Latin Americans here.
Yeah, why I'm asking about that is the fintech business is not very much well in Korea. So maybe the two guys from Barcelona.
I'll invite them personally to come here. They'll have a vitawallet.kr.
Yeah. For the fintech startups, I think it's very true. Since 2019 until now, I think I had about 3 to 4 inquiries by European fintech startups. Those wants to make a partnership with the South Korean banking systems, but it usually doesn't work because it's very conservative market. But more we get to have like foreign employees active in Korea, these kind of fintech startups would also have to consider Korea as a market to expand, so they can transfer their wages back to their home country. So, yeah, okay. So we have 2 more questions, and next one.
Also for the Latin American ecosystem and banks and stuff, also very conservative.
Yeah.
They had so much trouble. They even had their bank accounts closed, and also since they have cryptocurrency, the banks were against a lot of things. So they were like, the fish, like when you try to grab a fish, they were like, like
Wow.
that. So so maybe if they're
How long did it take them to get a bank partnership?
I think a long time. They started in 2019, 2020, maybe 2021, maybe.
Wow.
Yeah, and they had their own bank account, but the banks would do audits, like crazy audits, even though they had everything really organized. But they because they were actually against their business, They were like, So it took a while for the mindset of the banks to realize, hey, this is not a threat. This is actually an opportunity. But it took a really long time, lobby, and a lot of people to support them to actually make that change. So I have faith in Korea.
Yep. Ask Shane for those kind of favors. Yeah, so due to the time constraint, let's go to the next question. Next question would be, on which stage should startups consider global expansion? And I would like to ask this question to the public. On which stage did you decide to move into Korea as an expansion purposes? Because we have few KSGT startups over here. Anyone who would like to raise their hand for that? No? Okay. Okay, Erdnit?
All right. Okay, for my company perspective, when we first established the incorporated company, incorporated in the United States, I was by luck. I travel here. I see a huge opportunity, and I'm open-minded, and I'm supported the current system is. So it kept in my mind, and until now, this year, we've been in a project, and the government become our client, technically. So I can say that in short, like seed stage in our case, still seed though, like because it's bootstrap company, so 3.5 years. So it's still very much early stage. But in my opinion, this answer, I think, from the day zero, actually, people can expand and incorporate.
All right. Okay. How about CNT?
네. 저도 아까 말씀해주신 말에 동의를 하는데요. 저는 저희 대표님한테 아까 살짝 카카오톡으로 여쭤봤을 때는 프리 A나 A 정도 단계가 좋지 않냐라는 의견을 주셨는데, 오늘은 제가 나온 자리니까 제가 생각하자면은 저도 타이밍은 중요하지 않은 것 같습니다. 기회가 있고 그 다음에 내가 어떤 글로벌하게 선보일 수 있는 무언가가 나온 시점이나 아니면 아이디어 자체를 또 외국에서 시작하면 더 좋은 경우도 있거든요. 아무래도 우리나라도 마찬가지로 한국 법인이 있어야지 투자가 용이하고 사업하기 용이한 것처럼 외국을 상대로 비즈니스를 할 때 외국에다가 처음부터 법인을 설립해서 진행하면 훨씬 더 쉬운 경우도 있어요. 그래서 저도 똑같이 동의합니다. 언제든 상관이 없다. 중요한 거는 얼마나 괜찮은 아이템을 만들고 그거를 선보일 수 있느냐. 그게 중요한 것 같습니다.
All right. So Rex totally agrees with Nick that although he asked us this question to the CEO of CNT Tech, what would be the right time to expand their startups to abroad? But so Jonathan answered it should be like pre-A or Series A. But since it is his role to speak in the public, so he totally denies with it. Denying the boss. Keep it secret, guys. So it will be not the matter of the scale of the company, but it will be much about the fit towards the market, the opportunities, and in often cases, many of these seed level startups, it will be much more easier to expand their companies to abroad if they establish their incorporations abroad first from like day one. It would be much more easier to expand. So in his consideration, it could be day one or any stage that is like ready to go global, that has a possibility in the abroad market. All right.
Thank you.
How about you, Maria?
I agree with Erlik. I think day zero, to be honest, because first, the most important thing when you're building a company is because you're a startup is because you're trying to solve a problem, right? So I think it's not about the trends, it's not about anything else or the solution itself, but it's about the problem. And that problem probably is there in other markets and in other places. So actually you will be able to solve that problem for a lot of more people than the ones that you have in your own country, and that actually will provide into making the world a better place, and having people experience a better life. So having that in mind, I think it's very important to, whenever you start building a company, to have this mindset, because that will change everything. When you start hiring your team, what kind of team you will hire. When you start building your product, when you go with your technology, is your technology going to be able to scale, or are you doing it, or is it like too specific? Also administration, organization, operation, like having in mind that you eventually are going to scale up makes you prepare yourself for that moment. I think it's like, well, in Uruguay, I don't know if you know, but we are well known for football players. I don't know if you know Suarez. He likes to, Suarez? Luis? No? Likes to bite? Yeah. Yeah,
Suarez, okay,
yeah. Oh, yeah, sorry. That's Suarez. Yeah. Well, he's from...
Speak like Korean.
Yeah,
Suarez.
Suarez. Suarez Nim. So it's like, for us, we have a lot of analogies with football. So for us, it's like whenever you start playing football or training to be a football player, do you want to go local or do you want to go and play Manchester United, And that's going to change specifically how much you're going to train, like how you're going to network, how you're going to, the vision that you have. Are you going to stay there, or are you going global and make everyone in the world enjoy your beautiful football playing? So the same, you can have the analogy with startups as well. And another very important point is that when you already have that mindset, not only you have to prepare your startup, you have to prepare yourself as well. So if you're thinking eventually of going some other place, start building your network. I wanted to come to Korea, and I started building my network a year ago.
Yeah,
you know?
Agreed.
And I didn't know if I was going to come or not, but here I am. So that mindset it's very important. Learn the language, know the trends, be over the news of what's happening there, and see the opportunities and the time that is the right time for you and for that expansion. So I don't think there is like, pre-A, pre-B, like it really depends on yourself, the market, your business. But the most important thing is to be ready from day one, from day zero, and have that mindset with you and with everyone that you work with in your team. So yeah, that would be my recommendation.
Beautiful. Due to the time constraint, I'm going to move on to the next slide, which will be the last question, but take a bit of time, but also very interesting. This will be your last game to put up your phone and select the most promising sector for next 5 years. I will show you the QR codes for the speakers over here. Please choose till the finals. For next 5 years, most promising sector for next 5 years. Yep, 1, 2, 3, 4 again. Is the most promising sector for next 5 years. I would love to know the opinions of the public, what they chose. I'll give you about 2 to 3 minutes. Is it easy? Most promising. So we have some of the accelerators over here. Still can't figure it out. I know. It's okay. That's the whole purpose. Yeah, I know. I had to. I had no option to really. What did you choose? Legal tech. Okay. One legal tech. Hussein, did you choose? Not legal tech. What's yours? Sorry? You're at the you're still at the qualifying finals. You have to go to the end. Find the last one. Last one. This is so hard for you guys. Follow the instinct. Follow the instinct, and it will naturally work. Follow the instinct. Oh, okay. Okay, we have a winner over here. You got the winner. What's the winner, Mister? Oh, okay, okay. Interesting, interesting. What you on? You got anything? You're done. Okay. What is it? Platform business is a winner. Okay. Interesting. Right. Let's see what Rex chose.
Okay, I chose energy, and I will speak in Korean again. 제가 에너지 분야를 선택한 이유는요. 제 개인적인 생각이기도 한데요. 과거에는 이제 에너지를 만들려면은 석탄 발전소라든지 아니면 수력 발전소라든지 원자력 발전소 같은 걸로 큰 시설 설비가 필요했었습니다. 근데 뭐 저희가 가장 잘 아는 태양광 발전 같은 경우에는 한국 같은 경우에는 그냥 가정집에 3kW시 같은 걸로 이용해서 발전도 하고 있고요. 그다음에 어디까지 이야기할까요?
So in the past we needed like a huge scale, like large scale, physically big plantation to generate energies, but in these days in Korea, even with the very small devices, we can generate like 3 kilowatt energies daily.
네. 그래서 거기뿐만 아니라 과거에 국가에서 사용하였던 국가는 아니면 커다란 회사에서 진행하였던 뭐 풍력 발전소라든지 그 다음에 화력 발전소 같은 거가 아니라 개개인 단위로도 이제 태양광 발전소 같은 거를 많이 짓고 있고 지금 발전하고 있습니다. 그래서 그런 발전소의 지방 같은 경우에는 보시면은 이제 그런 데서 발전을 하는 용량이 그 지방에 있는 그 에너지 사용량보다 훨씬 많아가지고 막 버려지는 것도 많이 있거든요. 그래서 앞으로는 그런 버려지는 에너지들을 잘 모아서 로컬에서 쓸 수 있는 비즈니스나 이쪽에 좀 기회가 있을 것 같습니다.
So there are lots of facilities that are thrown away, like by the public, by the government, or the conglomerates in Korea, such as like turbine energies or thermal energy facilities. But if we go to the rural areas, we are seeing increasing number of solar panels per houses, which generates overwhelming energies per housing as well. So we get to see lots of energies actually getting wasted in vain. So we believe there will be a lot more technologies that's going to make these things much more efficient and house unit energy development in a way. Yeah.
네, 예를 들어서 전기차가 요즘에 많이 보급되고 있는데 저희 지방에도 다 곳곳에 보면은 주유소가 있잖아요. 그것처럼 지금 유효한 솔라 패널 에너지를 이제 저장을 시켜 놓는 ESG 장치가 이제 용량이 꽉 차가지고 이제 에너지를 날리게 되고 있는 상황인데 이 에너지를 어떻게 하면은 변환시켜서 지금의 가스 스테이션 같은 역할을 해서 거기 자체적으로 발전시킨 에너지로 뭐 전기차를 충전한다던가 아니면은 또 다른 거 예를 들면은 죄송합니다. 네 한다던가 아니면은 지금 뭐 인프라 같은 게 다 서울에 집중되어 있는데 죄송합니다. 네네네. 네네네네네. 좋은 답변 감사합니다. 근데 현재는 제가 알고 있기로는 이제 그런 공급을 받는 것까지도 그러니까 거래하는 수 있는 액수도 한정되어 있고 그래가지고 아마 잘 안 되고 있는데 앞으로는 그쪽으로도 더 발전할 수 있을 것 같습니다.
So, for instance, because of the distribution of electric vehicles, we're having lots of self-generated electricity demands per housings, and also there could be another ways to have to leverage the existing facilities and infrastructures and systems such as electricity exchanges, so that we can efficiently use the existing energies in the market in a real-time basis. So everyone has a first time, guys. So please give a warm applause.
그리고 또 아까 제가 말씀드리려고 했었던 것 중에 하나가 뭐 지금은 조금 시간이 지났지만은 뭐 예를 들어서 옛날에는 코인 채굴 같은 것들도 조금 유행을 했었잖아요. 그런 것처럼 지방에서 어떻게 보면 유전기를 사용해서 뭔가 서버를 만들다던가 이런 뭐 코인 채굴 같은 걸 한다던가 아니면 또 다른 비즈니스를 할 수 있는 그런 기회들도 또 열릴 거라고 저는 생각합니다.
So with the remaining energies from the single households, the rural areas, those are generating energies through solar panels or etc. I think we believe that could be reused for like maybe coin mining or servers, etc. So yeah, there are lots of possibilities. Those are existing in the market. How about you, Maria? What's the most promising market?
Yeah, well, actually, I don't know if I think this is a wish or something that I would like to happen. That I chose EdTech because I think we're not investing in education, in transforming education, and I think it's a big need. Not only in Latin America, but everywhere in the world. I see we have a really big crisis in education. And I think education is the base of all the other industries that come after. If we don't have educated and give the possibility of education and better education, adapted, more modern education, new ways of learning, I think all the rest, it doesn't matter that much, at least to me. So for me, at the investment fund, at the VC, we don't invest in edtech at the moment, maybe because it's not one of the sexy industries. It's not the platforms, the AIs and the this, and that. It could be, but it's not at the moment. And also, it's very difficult to disrupt because their structures are very solid and from a lot of years, and schools or different education systems are very like engraved into the society and the culture. So it's really tough to go through. And that's why I think, in my perspective, as all the venture capital accelerators and different key players, I think we should join into giving the founders that are actually thinking of how outside of the box, of how to learn, how to educate, how the younger generations or older generations, anyone that want to learn can have great opportunities and great ways of doing so. So I know it might not be, this is my true wish. Hopefully in 5 years, we'll talk recently and you're like, hey, remember, now look at EdTech. Yep. So I hopefully EdTech is in 5 years, it's the promising industry and sector. Everyone is investing and everyone is interested in really developing. That's my wish.
Yeah, if you're raised under Asian parents, you don't really need an edutech. You just need to be smacked, and that's edutech something. So yeah. How about you, Shane?
Edutech means smartphone or smart devices? No. Yeah, for me, I choose boring items, AI. There's no doubt, even in tiny devices can do the AI technology. So maybe the AI is it's a very principal technology for the every device and every any technologies principle. So it's not the perspective of investors or startups. Only my instinct to 5 years later, AI can swallow.
Your position? Okay, what else? Who chose platform? Next 5 years, one platform? Only one? Since you're the only one, you have the opportunity.
All right, thank you. Maybe, all right. All right, so since I'm also running both an accelerator program plus and a platform business, technically, so I'm purely focusing on the investment potential, right? So, all right, maybe it will be a little bit, the platform business is a little bit high altitude point of view of seeing the industries actually. They are kind of like umbrella term in that sense. I even took some notes by it because this is very interesting. So any industries can be actually a platform business, an edtech platform business, an energy platform business and stuff. So and they can capture the biggest market size on the world. What is this? Entire world. If you look at the platform businesses, they want to reach the entire world. They want to capitalize on the entire world. On the scale and very much scalable business models, pretty good. I would invest. And they're also pivotal and flexible. So they can easily pivot and different and diverse into different business ventures. So for example, now Apple or Starbucks are becoming banks also. Becoming a bank because they're holding a lot of money from their customers, right? So they can also a different business model for them. It's just one example. And also diverse business opportunities, just like Amazon. So Amazon is also many business opportunities able to produce and then provide. And they can also become a holding companies and accumulate ownership stakes of and operates efficiently from other companies and eventually become the industry itself. So just like Amazon also, it become an industry itself. So pretty good business in my opinion to invest. Yep. Thank you.
Okay, so the main purpose I actually brought up this quiz at the end to check out what will be the most promising industry for the next 5 years. We have Founders Institute, Magical Portfolio Manager, CNT Manager, Korea Accelerators Association, who chose platform, who chose edtech, who chose energy and AI. So if you are a person looking for an investment, and if you're running a platform startup, you know who to find. If you're looking for an investor in Chile, and if you're an edtech startup, you know who to find. And if you're an energy startup, you know who to find. And for AI, just bag for money. He's an angel investor. So, for me, I was just making the quiz. So, sorry, I wasn't playing it. So, it would be unfair. It would be unfair. All right. Anything to add, Shane, on top of that?
Not my mic. Okay.
I want to add some comments more. 아까 에너지 관련해서 제가 한 가지 더 관심 가는 섹터가 있다면은 저는 그 태양광 패널 리사이클링 쪽에 좀 관심이 많이 있습니다. 지금 현재 그 자동차에 들어가는 배터리 같은 경우에는 뭐 한국에 있는 상장 기업인 뭐 성일 하이텍이라던가 그런 곳에서 이제 배터리 재활용을 진행하고 있거든요. 근데 아직까지 태양광 패널, 한국만 해도 이제 태양광 발전이 10년 전, 15년 전부터 엄청 활황해가지고 이제 많이 지어졌었는데 그게 셀 기한이 15년에서 18년 정도면 끝나서 이제 곧 조만간 폐패널들 엄청 많이 쏟아질 거거든요. 근데 한국에서도 제가 알고 있기론 몇 개 스타트업들이 관련해서 업무를 하고 있고 유럽 같은 경우에는 비영리 재단 혹은 기업을 이용해가지고 그런 리사이클링 하는 걸로 알고 있는데 그쪽에 기업들이 더 나와주면 더 좋을 것 같습니다. 그래서 앞으로 그쪽의 섹터가 밝을 것 같습니다.
So to add slightly bit more on the energy sector, it will be on the reusable solar panel waste because last 7 to 8 years we've been building out lots of solar panels that just became a waste, thrown away. So in Europe's case, there are lots of non-profit organizations who are handling it. And in Korea, we have several small startups who are trying to handle it, trying to figure the way out, but still takes time. But that will be another side sector that he might choose as a promising sector. So, yeah. So when I get to see people's eye, I know when to stop. So, so I think this is just about the time to give a big applause to our panels and moderators. You can go back to your seats for this. So as a closing man, there is one more homework to do for you guys. How many of you applied through Eventus? If you go to Eventus right now and search for global class, there's another event coming up on 23rd, which I'm a speaker, not a host, so I can have much more time networking and talking and enjoying the event. So if you want to catch up, 23rd is another option. Thank you so much. I think it was such a good kickstart of something that's going to become much more greater in our ecosystem. Hope to see you guys again. I'm going to give you guys another 30 minutes to stay networking, connecting, talking. Meanwhile, our staff members can wrap things up. Thank you again. Thank you so much to be part of the first page of an history of evolving ecosystem. And this was Riso. Thank you.
Matters worse. Matters worse. Monday is busy. Tuesday I feel dizzy. Wednesday is so tiring. Thursday uninspiring. The weekend comes around. I got already Monday on my mind. But I keep on smiling, cause I got a perfect hiding. I've been searching the solution, and it's not a revolution. The passion that will free us was hidden in plain sight, they will time. And you know summer is made for